What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 108 of The Terror Table. The Terror Table is that podcast that talks about horror movies, horror literature now, horror TV shows, horror everything. We also tend to bend the genre a little bit once in a while, but we always try to make it seem like something appealing for someone who is into horror. So we will dabble on the fringes of that from time to time. But yeah, here we are for episode 108, and I am one of your regular hosts named Mitch, and alongside me as always is...
I'm Buzi.
And we got a very, very special guest today, special returning guest, fellow podcaster, screenwriter, co-director of the Saskatoon
financier,
yeah. Like Buzi said I think it was last episode, that he is a Swiss Army knife. He does he does it all. He's the host of the Rank and Review podcast, and our good friend Larry Parsons. Welcome, Larry.
This is the sound of my voice.
We are really, really excited to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun last time you were here. Buzi and I have both been on Rank and Review. I've become, ever since we kind of met, I've become an avid listener of Rank and Review. I haven't missed an episode.
I've been listening to your guys' baby episodes.
You're telling us before we started recording that you're listening to like our first 10. It's like we're all just stop. Don't.
I feel so bad for you listening to that Blair Witch episode. But either way, we're just like, just to quickly get the dick sucking out of the way. We really truthfully think the world of you, and like it is fucking awesome to see you get your movie off the ground. And the Buzi and I got to go to the first screening of it, the test screening, I believe that was, and just seeing how the crowd reacted to it. It was really surreal to be like, hey, I know that guy. Like, also, especially since it was like at the beginning of the movie, you're an actor in the movie as well, and you kill it. Like, you're a great actor, and I know you're a stage performer, correct?
90% of what I've ever done has always been on stage. Yes.
Yeah. And you're a natural on that thing, and looking forward to the day that we can share the Book of Trespasses and get it out there to our listeners, and because I know people will watch it.
Well, believe me, we're trying. We're trying to get it out there. I mean, it's an uphill battle, but I mean, we spent 5 years making the thing.
Yeah, so, I was going to ask, since we did that, has there been any updates with what's going on?
Well, not a lot of hot news yet.
No.
I mean, we applied to a bunch of festivals, and unfortunately, we haven't gotten a lot of positive responses yet. But we're going to raise some more money and apply to more festivals. We're trying to figure out what weight we're punching, I think, right now is really what's going on. There's a lot of genre festivals, and there's a lot of festivals that seem highly suspect. Like, this is an internet festival run out of such and such university. Submit your film with your check, and we'll let you know if you've won. You know, there's a lot of I think predatory stuff going on for people just trying to siphon money away from,
which is unfortunate because
artists.
Because that whole demographic is artists trying to get their feet wet, get involved with things. And if it's like, oh, I'm just going to give you money for nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we've been pushing this boulder up a hill, like I said, for 5 years, and we've sort of there's some hard lessons on the way. So we have some knowledge base, but there's a lot of lessons that we had to know. This is an area, the selling of the film, that I don't think any of the three core producers have a really good handle on yet. We're getting there, but I think we're in the noobs of the group, and I think we smell and look like noobs to the professionals out there. But anybody who's seen the movie says that they really like it. So the trick is getting it to the right pair of eyes. And that's what we're still working on. I mean, I would love to sit here and tell you can get your Blu-ray of
your VOD
right now, or I could give you a link to it right now. But until we find a home for it, it's sort of in limbo.
Yeah. And to be clear, just sorry to jump in here, but like on the topic of like how this thing took you 5 years to make, normally that seems like a bad thing.
Yeah.
But what people need to understand too is that you come from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. You guys did this all by yourself, and you've been doing it in your free time. All of your actors went out and they've participated in their free time, and it's not like if I were to hear that J.J. Abrams was taking 5 years on Star Wars, that would be like, oh fuck, like they're fucking something up. But it's like, no, you guys are literally just doing whatever you can to get this piece of art done. And I previously have blown the actors in your film, but I think the acting especially is so good in that movie. And we were talking briefly before we got on air here, but like how you were trying to get into like maybe micro budget festivals, but you didn't seem like a micro budget film. And like I think that like that's one of the best things that could possibly be said to you is that like your film, because it doesn't look like a micro budget movie.
No, it looks too good to sort of compete in the right range. I don't know. That's what I'm sort of saying. We're trying to find the right what weight we're supposed to be punching. I don't think we've found it quite yet. But I have to believe we'll find a right home for it. I just
Well, next time you make a movie, just suck it up a little. Like make it suck a little.
Well, and I guess it's unrealistic. You go and think, well, I spent all this time in the movie. I really like the movie. As soon as people see it, it'll just be a few months, and I'll just be drinking wine with Spielberg, right? No.
Yeah, he'll be asking you for pointers, and
it's still. I mean, and I say this as a Saskatchewan filmmaker. Pretty dark days for Saskatchewan filmmaking. I assume you guys heard about the Netflix deal.
No,
Netflix is
please
producing. I think I might have the numbers wrong. I think something like $550 million worth of production in Canada over the next 3 years, and they've opened offices in every province except one. I would like you gentlemen to.
Are you telling me that like Nova Scotia and Winnipeg?
Yeah, Manitoba. Manitoba is
I'm
monstrous.
sorry, Manitoba. Really?
Manitoba
There's like nothing there.
Manitoba gave us your last two Child's Play movies.
That's true.
That crazy Silent Night remake they came out like they produced a lot of horror movies, a lot of decent horror movies there.
Seems
There's
like Montreal.
no reason that they couldn't have done here. The whole Fargo TV show.
Yeah, in Calgary.
Apparently they scouted here because the landscape is exactly right and it's close to actual.
Well, we're the Minnesota of Canada,
Right.
Well, they filmed in Calgary.
Well, wouldn't you if you could save 30 cents on the dollar?
Yeah, no doubt. That's crazy. That's a bummer.
So it's tough. It's tough. And I keep on thinking someone's going to be, we find that right person, to get it in front of the movie. I saw Kevin Smith when he came in town to talk, and he's talked about getting basically by having incredibly good luck, having the right person see his movie at the screening. There's like 6 people there, but that one guy had the phone number of the right person, and there it goes. We're looking for that guy.
Well, you know what? Kevin Smith is coming to Saskatchewan for one of his movies that he's making.
The word on the street, he wants to do Moose Jaws. It's still a thing to do, or on his to-do list, as he told a friend of mine when he met him when he was in town. It's on his to-do list. But
Well, he's doing
it's like dishes,
exactly.
Garbage,
Jane's
like,
on a Bob sequel.
Yeah.
Look, he found time to make yoga hosers, so I believe that he'll probably find time to make Moose Jaws, and I would be respect if he made it here. It would seem almost irresponsible, like
to not do it here.
No, to do it to do it here, because anywhere else will give you a tax credit. Right?
That's
They'll
very
give
true.
you an incentive to shoot here, whereas Saskatchewan at this point in time is the opposite of that. It's a strange climate to be a filmmaker. There's like the support system is just gone right now.
Yeah. So just wrong place.
Yeah.
For you, especially.
Yeah, I mean that's basically I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I'm sure I can hear my other producers hearing this and being pissed off at me for spending all doom and gloom. I want to get this movie out there, obviously, and I'm not. We're far from throwing in the towel. And perhaps it was just unrealistic to think, in the first 3 months we'd get some bites right away, right? We've only been pitching it for a few months, so I mean.
Either way, you guys should be proud. You should be proud, and
I like the movie a lot. I'm very happy with the movie.
I was actually going to ask you about that, just because you've spent such an incredible amount of time with it. Has it ever like where you just sit down and like it's like having a kid that's always in trouble? You just like hate it a little bit. Do you know what I mean?
There's
like you're such a headache to me right now.
Well, again, going back to when Kevin Smith was speaking there, he said like it wasn't until the festival screenings where he suddenly realized, why is everybody cursing in this movie? Right? There is part of me that maybe thinks like we needed a really punchy opening. That like if something to grab you right out the gate and make the promise whatever, Blood and Guts.
I think
to
the
come.
scope
that
you guys got was a great opening.
Yeah, I know. I really like the opening too, but I mean, as far as getting it noticed, you kind of ease into Book of Trespasses, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe the smarter thing when you're trying to get noticed is to be a little brasher and noisier.
You want that flash and bang.
This is a more thoughtful thriller.
In
its own ways, but I think that's a good thing. I just think we need to find the right audience for it. I guess
it opens in a really like competent way. Like you're like when you're watching, you're like, oh, this isn't just a backyard movie that some of my friends made in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. When in reality, it is. Like there are scenes in Jared Barry's backyard.
There's literally scenes in our backyards.
Yeah.
No, but we didn't want anybody to have to meet us halfway. There should be no, nothing holding you from being entertained by the movie. There shouldn't be any kind of like, oh, it's good considering. I liked it because, in spite of the weak sound design or in spite of none of that. Like, we wanted to give you good product, and we called in every favor we could and took all the time in the world to get it to where it was, including like basically re-recording the entire soundscape of the movie. Just to get it consistent, It wasn't even that the sound was terrible. It was that it was inconsistent. And that was taking me out of the movie enough that, it added another year almost to the production.
Yeah.
Well, you had so many people that helped you out. That like, there are so many people that helped you out outside of that. Because even, like, I know Jordan Barry.
Yeah.
And, like, even he did a ton of special effects for you guys.
Lee Beckman is in the front row in that one scene.
Yeah. Yeah, Lee Beckman, that was his big ticket to Hollywood.
Yeah, he killed it. He did great. Masterful performance.
His IMDb.
If you guys don't mind, I keep on getting sidetracked, and I have a whole bunch of announcements to say at the beginning.
So we don't have to talk about me the whole time.
No, that's why we have you here. But one last thing about what I was getting at, and then we got into the whole topic of the movies and everything like that, is that, like, if for some reason some of our listeners haven't checked out Rank and Review yet, I highly recommend to do so. Because too. I truthfully, but like the thing is, I'm not saying this because you're my friend, but I truthfully think that the way that you talk about the way you talk about movies and the friends that you have on, there's a level of knowledge and like passion there that you don't see in other podcasts. Sure, you can go to podcasts where you can listen to people kind of generally talk about movies or like kind of joke about movies like what we do, but you guys actually have like a knowledge on them, and like the way that you like I just listened to your Scorsese episode, and the way that you and Beckman go back and forth, it's like you guys really love this shit.
Oh yes.
And you're so good with words.
No, I'm not faking it. I'm certainly not faking it.
Yeah, you can tell that you love it, but check out Rank and Review. But okay, so going on from that, I just want to say, so we're on episode 108. We got Larry Parsons here, and we're going to be talking about a film that he chose called A Dark Song. Buzi and I have talked about this in like the pre-feature stuff. We've talked about it in passing. Yeah, but we've never talked about it at length, and I know that's something that I've wanted to do since I saw the film. But so we'll be doing that in our main feature. I want to wish a happy belated birthday to our Buzi. I forgot to mention this last when we did a book club episode, that it was Buzi's birthday the day before book club, and happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Love you,
happy
buddy.
Birthday, drinking age?
Yeah.
Again.
And also happy birthday to our former guest and great pal Jason Hamill. It's his birthday today.
Jason.
Yeah. Hey, Jason's a filmmaker in Vancouver, and he just got laid off because of the whole he was working on who's Aunt Becky from Full House. Did you hear about those? It was like her.
Oh, is that the one where they were siphoning money? And
yeah,
shit?
Well, no, they were bribing colleges to get their kids in, and now they're all like William H. Macy's wife, Felicity Huffman. Yeah, she's arrested.
I saw that in the news last night.
And Jason's he was editing like 2 movies with the Aunt Becky from Full House, and now she's in jail, so he can't. Wow. So like him and 100 people lost their jobs yesterday
because she got arrested.
Yeah, because she's the star of the movies.
Man.
Like, yeah.
Well, shit.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Jason.
Yeah, it's like, what else do you say to that? Like, so and so just got arrested, so everyone can leave, and you're just like, well,
they're gonna refer to that soon as just being Roseanne.
Yeah, I want to actually while we're here.
Depends whether they'll carry on or not.
I think he deleted it. It's his Facebook post where he's just like, did anyone else lose their jobs from this, or was it just me? Did anyone else lose their job today because of Aunt Becky from Full House, or was that just me?
Wow.
Okay, so other than that, I want to give a special thank you and shout out to anyone who listened to our last episode, the book club episode. The reception has been better than I think we were expecting, but I think that Buzi and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I know Tara and Courtney did as well. That was a whole bunch of fun, and we are already looking forward to our next book club episode.
It went better than I think we expected it.
Way better. It was just a lot of fun. Like, okay, you know how I've been on a big video game kick? I did like 9 video games. I'm done my books for next month, and I'm reading another one right now. Like, I'm in full book mode now. I come home from work and I'm exhausted, and I'm just laying on the couch reading books.
Alas, you guys, I never learned to read.
Yeah.
The amount of we don't know how to read jokes.
Well, I'm reading picture books. So,
there you go.
Yeah. So that'll be next month. We will announce, like, once again, we said which books everyone's choosing at the end of the episode, but we will post on our social medias, so you can check them out if you want to beforehand. Other than that, next week, me and Buzi are going to welcome back our friend and former guest, Kyle Zeravinsky. He was on for our episode on Videodrome, which you weren't here for, but now you guys have met each other.
Yeah.
Kyle's our dog. We love Kyle, and we've been looking forward to having him on again. He's also a Saskatoon filmmaker. He owns a film production company in Saskatoon. So we'll talk to him about all that stuff next week, as well as his pick, which is Perfect Blue, the anime. Have you seen it?
I have.
I watched it today. But
have another look at Requiem for a Dream.
oh, I that and Black Swan. Yeah, both Aronofsky. Well, he owns the rights to the movie.
I could say he borrowed, but I think it would be fair to say he just stole.
No,
shots
he
from
bought
those movies.
he bought the rights so that he could use them.
Oh, I see.
I found that out today because I was like, whoa, what?
It's shot for shot. It's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that one. Like I said, I just watched it for the first time today. But
can I mention, because I did meet Kyle, that I have kind of a funny Kyle story.
I love Kyle stories.
So first off, it's just we met each other and it's like, hey, I'm Kyle, and I was like, you look super familiar, and I was like, is your last name Zeravinsky? He's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, hey, I'm Anthony, and he's like, are you Buzi? I'm like, yeah. So we got talking or whatever, and just clicked instantly. Like it's kind of how I would say like when I met Jesse for the first time.
Yeah, he's a dude.
Just instantly is like we were best buds.
He's the dude. Kyle rules. The first time. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, when we had him on here, me and Diego had so much fun with him, and it's just like I feel like I'm like a kindred spirit with the guy, and like shouldn't we have been best friends like 10 years ago?
Yeah, so I kind of made an oopsie, and I hope he doesn't remember it, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Is there was a guy I was on set for a film, and there was a guy there who looked a lot like Jeffrey Dahmer, and I made a passing joke about how the dude looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm pretty sure him and Kyle are like best friends, and I'm like really after seeing it, I was like, oh fuck, why did I do that? And I'm like, I have to feel like I have to go like, I'm not a bad person. I was making an observation.
I'm sure he'd find it funny, but if not, he will fuck your head. Okay, and then so Kyle chose Perfect Blue, which is an anime horror movie, which is also a coincidence because Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, messaged us today on Instagram, and he's like, hey, you should check out these 2 movies, and they're 2 anime horror films. So there you go, Dusty. I will try and watch those 2 movies for next week as well. But yeah, other than that, we can get on with the show. We can talk about what we've been seeing, what we've been doing. But first, I know that there is absolutely nothing less interesting than people talking about the weather, but dear God.
Oh my God.
Saskatoon
it's finally happening.
Saskatoon broke records this year. We were colder than Siberia and the moon.
Mars.
Mars. Yeah, sorry, fuck. It has been 3 months of straight minus 45
just
weather.
Hell.
I worked 9 straight nights through like the dark heart of winter and didn't see any sunlight.
It like warps you, right?
And like standing temperature minus 27, wind chill minus 42, like just ridiculous. Yeah. No more. This
time last week it was minus 45, and ladies and gentlemen, I am wearing shorts right now. I am in a good fucking mood.
Well, I don't know, and I think like our American fans don't truly understand the fathom of it. It's like they need to do the conversion so they can understand what we're talking about when it's like minus 40.
Yeah, and what's funny is that there's still snow on the ground here, and it's like still like chilly. Yeah. But I'm wearing shorts because it's not minus 50.
And you're not the first one. I've seen a ton of people out today.
Oh, this is a tropical vacation right now.
Yeah. I was in New Orleans years and years ago, and I remember telling them like I had to go home in a few days, and it's like it's gonna be like 33 below when I get home, and them flatly not believing.
Yeah, no, people don't believe
it. You're gonna die, sir.
I think we get the absolute best and worst of both climates because we get our summers. I think Saskatoon summers are the absolute best. because it's never, well, last year actually we hit, like, it was so hot that I actually had to go home from work because it was so hot. That has only happened once, but like even that is like just, you know, Florida weather. But it's just perfect, and I'm looking forward to it. There are lots of things to look forward to.
And that was our weather set.
Yes. All right. So
positive right now.
All right. Going on from that, let's talk about movies. Let's talk about what we've seen over the last little while. Let's talk about what we. No, I've read books, so I'm not going to talk about them here. I'm going to save them for the book podcast. Larry, would you like to go first?
Sure. If you like,
hit us.
I went ahead and brought a bunch of R&R recommends, sort of just like I did last time.
Perfect.
I brought a bunch of movies just to get your thoughts on them.
Love it.
But I also wanted to clear the air because of last time I was here. You guys, well, I mean, you asked me like what were my favorite zombies and found footage movies, and I just pulled them out of the air. And I somehow didn't mention the Rec franchise, which is of course representing both. Yep. It's one of those things that I just like, it nagged me that it didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't
It's
say
just been torturing you at night.
Like,
why didn't I say it?
I was trying to support zombies and found footage. Why did I not mention Rec? That is sort of
it's like the gold standard. I'm in the process of rewatching those films right now for our friends at Erie International. I'm going to be doing an episode with our friend David on the whole Rec franchise, and like,
nice.
God damn, those first two movies. Like, I honestly I haven't seen 3 or 4.
The first 2 Rec movies are what the Doom movies should have been, and Upgrade is what the Venom movie should have been. Discuss.
Yeah, I agree, but I can't say any more because I can't fall down a Venom rabbit hole.
I still haven't seen Upgrade, so...
Oh, sorry.
You're going to love Upgrade. Yeah, you will love Upgrade.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how my feelings are. You guys know Grabbers?
Yeah, I've seen Grabbers. Grabbers is
I want
great.
to say yes.
It's, I believe, an Irish film about these squid creatures that come out to try and eat people.
Yeah,
but they
I
won't
have
eat
seen
you
this.
if your blood alcohol level is to
So
a
everyone
certain
has to
degree.
drink to... Yeah.
So they have to deal with this crisis monster attack while being shit-faced the whole time. And it's deeply charming, I think. It's a fun sort of like Saturday
Wait a second. Did Empire misquote them? Okay, so there's a quote on the back that says, like Super 8 laced with special brew. Are they meaning strange brew?
Maybe.
Is special brew a thing?
It's a British movie, or an English movie, but I thought maybe it was just something that...
Well, because strange brew's Canadian as fuck.
Right.
Maybe that's just one of their things they say.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's great.
How do we feel about the Hallow?
Oh my god.
Boozy's gonna jizz on you.
So
You're in the splash
where
zone
did
now,
you,
sir.
where did you find a copy of that?
I don't remember where I got that copy of the Hallow. I love that movie. Guillermo del Toro did this, or produced this pseudo remake of that TV movie. My mind is going.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. This is like the better version of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark to me, and I feel like a lot of people might have missed it, which is why I wanted to shout it out here.
You want to know a fun fact about? Oh, sorry, you go.
I was gonna say I was a little disappointed. Like, I haven't seen The Nun yet, but obviously the Nun is directed by Corin Hardy, who also The Hallow was his first feature. Right. And I remember after watching The Hallow, I was like obsessed with it. I was like, I can't wait for him to break out and do something else. And then obviously I can't say for myself because I haven't seen The Nun, but it didn't sound like The Nun was.
Some people really liked it.
I don't think it's the right subject matter for him, I would say.
They'll pluck indie directors and throw them into a franchise position, which is good for them to get a good payday and a professional film under their belt. The guy who did The Citadel did the sequel to Sinister.
It's fucking terrible.
Right?
I hated that.
I love the Citadel.
Citadel is so good.
Sinister 2 did nothing for me, but I still wouldn't give up on that director. I was just like, he was trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Fun fact, just sorry, before you go on, oh my god, I love that movie, but fun fact, The Hallow, and you talked about Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Fun fact about Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Director is Troy Nixey, who's from Saskatoon.
What?
Yeah, he's a Saskatoon guy. He was a comic book writer. He was on episode 100 of Erie International.
I did not know
he's
that.
a Saskatoon dog.
Why have we not contacted?
That's edutainment.
Erie already did
See,
it.
I learned something today.
And that's I like Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, but I The Hallow is far superior. But very similar. No, talk about this.
Oh, right. Pontypool.
I love Pontypool.
I mean, it's Canadian. I assumed you guys must know Pontypool, but I think that in Canada it's got a really good reputation. But I want everybody to watch Pontypool. It's this guy is hosting a radio show in a small town. He used to be a big news, and now he's sort of slumming it. He's not liking his life, but he's forced to host this apocalypse. where there's some sort of zombie virus that's being spread by the human language.
Yeah, this is very regional, but it's like if John Gormley was surviving a like zombie apocalypse and still on the air. Like, he's more tolerable than John Gormley.
Yeah, and he's not a political talk show.
No.
But like, yeah. So by trying to help things, he might actually be making things worse. And it's really a one-room thriller in a lot of ways. Bruce McDonald directed it, sort of a quintessential Canadian indie filmmaker. Like
The most Canadian name ever.
Yes, exactly. I like it a lot.
This one's ripe for a Terror Table episode.
You said that you slowly went over into vampires, right?
I love vampires.
Okay.
I love vampire movies.
I feel like I'm the only person who really likes Byzantium.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
That's the only one on this pile I haven't seen.
I've got a few more hiding in my bag here. Okay, so this is from the same guy who directed Interview with the Vampire, Neil Jordan.
Byzantium?
Byzantium.
Okay.
Gemma Arterton, she was in the Girl with All the Gifts.
Ooh,
Okay, yeah.
great film.
She is so gorgeous, you guys. I mean, that's the one thing that, like, she spends the whole movie, just hitting on me.
Yeah.
No, she and her daughter are vampires in a vampire world where female vampires are not allowed. So they're constantly being hunted by these male vampires, and there's good vampires and bad vampires. It's got this big epic sort of sweep to it. But I think it's actually a far better movie than Interview with a Vampire. And again, it's another one that I think a lot of people miss.
That looks fairly new. Like, how old is that?
It's 5 years old, something
Okay.
like that.
I still consider that fairly new.
Yeah. New enough.
Yeah, and how do you say her name again? Saoirse Ronan?
Saoirse Ronan?
Saoirse, yeah, 'cause she's Lady Bird, correct? Am I
Yes.
wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been coming up. I read
Oh,
about it. I don't
fuck
have to
yeah,
do all
bro.
of them.
Yeah.
This is why we love you.
I love that instead of just writing things down, like, you have all these movies. You
Yeah,
actually own these
For those of you who
things.
can't, none of you can see, Larry's pulling out of a backpack just movies upon movies upon movies, and I love it.
99% of the movies you'll hear reviewed on Rank and Review I own.
Yeah, and that's what I loved
it.
about it. Because Leo told me, is like, when you go over there to do rank and review, you got to ask about the collection. You showed me, like, not even half, maybe?
It's
Which is-
causing considerable strain on my relationship with my wife, I think.
And that is crazy. So when you check out Rank and Review, you'll see that he does 6 movies an episode.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Usually,
crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I brought... I just grabbed 10 because, I don't know. I mean, you guys know The Resurrected?
I know of it, but I still have never seen
No.
it. Chris Sarandon, I love him.
It's interesting. Dan O'Bannon wrote and directed it. He made a little movie called Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Please do not throw blank faces at me when I say
Of course,
Return of the
yes.
Living
The
Dead.
whole time you're saying Dan O'Bannon, I'm like, I've heard that.
No, of course, Return of the Dead. Yeah.
Like he wrote a bunch of, famously he wrote Alien, and
That's why I fucking know it. Because
Yeah,
I have his
exactly.
book, yeah.
and Life Force, this really fucking bizarre.
Love it.
80s,
Tons of boobs. So many
sci-fi
boobs.
movie. So, but this is one of his more straight. It's a Lovecraft adaptation. It's a 80s special effects movie that a lot of people missed. Check it out.
That's
It
called
is
The
not-
Resurrected.
It's called The Resurrected. It's not as fucking crazy as Return of the Living Dead.
And
but-
Scream Factory put it out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, and there's not a lot of really great Lovecraft adaptations for some reason. So
I think it's a weird thing to nail down.
it's
There's
tough.
a lot of people who imitate it really well.
You own a copy of that?
of The Hidden.
I love The Hidden.
Goddamn right. I
The
own a
Hidden.
copy of
This
The
is a
Hidden.
movie that I want Buzi to watch so fucking bad. The Hidden is a movie that Buzi would love. Like, this is Courtney's first entry onto Letterboxd, and she gave it 5 out of 5 because it is the most insane.
I don't know if that's like
I
where
know
you
it-
want to hang your flag on that.
I'm sorry. No, but we had so much fun watching it. It's a made-for-TV movie, is it not? Like,
No, I think it had a theatrical run.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that. I was way too young to watch the movie when I first saw it, but it's another one of these 80s action movies that has everything. It's an 80s buddy cop comedy, but it's got like aliens in it, and it's got like a really dark sense of humor. It's way over the top and
car
kind of like
chases.
sleazy and stupid, but like in a deliciously 80s package.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Roger Ebert of Siskel and Ebert has a great quote on the box cover quote is, "It's a cross between Invasion of the Body Snatchers and the Terminator."
That is not
Wow.
unfair. That is not unfair.
No.
It's
sold.
incredibly violent and not smart, but
Yeah. But Kyle MacLachlan.
yeah.
Twin Peaks.
The buddy comedy fish out of water stuff is not as interesting as the alien shooting people stuff, but
Yeah.
it's totally worth your time.
What?
Monster, or as it is usually known, Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh, yeah. Humanoids from the Deep I've seen.
I got nothing on that one.
Okay, well, this is
Just a little bit.
sorry, closer to the mic. It's an insane, inappropriate, kind of offensive movie. The kind of movie that doesn't get made anymore. Fish monsters come out of the ocean and rape women and kill men.
Oh. I like the cover.
Yeah, and it's like a super cheap Roger Corman, the guy who did the special
I
effects.
fucking love Roger.
Yeah.
Everything Roger Corman touches is hilarious.
The kid who did the special effects on that, I want to say, went on to do the special effects for The Thing. It might be Bottin, I can't remember.
Rob
But it's-
Bottin? Yeah,
I wanna-
Bottin. Sorry, Rob Bottin.
I want to say it was one of his first special effects ones. And guilty pleasure, yes, and sleazy, yes. Like, they don't and won't make movies like this anymore.
No.
But there is something. There's a time capsule quality to it. And again, it's not one that a lot of people have seen.
James Horner did the fucking score for this.
Oh yeah. They're not playing around. I've been recently getting fascinated with made-for-TV scary movies. Are you guys aware of The Dark Night of the Scarecrow?
I'm aware of it, but I've never seen it.
This was made for television and it aired in the early 80s. There is a vicious attack on a local girl in this small town, and they blame this local idiot, played by Larry Drake. Any Dr. Giggles fans?
Yeah, I've seen Dr. Giggles.
They falsely accuse him and basically lynch him, and a spooky scarecrow comes to take vengeance.
Oh, I was gonna say this sounds a lot like the plot for like Darkness Falls.
Again, it's not reinventing the wheel, but it's got surprising darkness for a movie that was made for television, and I think it's worth a watch for horror.
Is the violence fairly tame for that then? If it was made for
The violence is largely implied, but it does have a couple of moments.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few of these. If you guys ever seen The Other, there's another 70s made-for-TV movie about this little kid who loses his twin and his mind.
Yeah.
And
I haven't
it's
seen it, but
so fucking dark.
I want to see that. Yeah. The fact that you have the deluxe collector's edition of Dark Night of the Scarecrow speaks volumes for your collection. Can you
I
imagine
hope that you have like the regular one and then the deluxe collector's edition.
just the fact that you have that? It's just like, what fucking don't you have?
I do say no. You know what? I do not have any Twilight movies in my collection.
Okay, that was like,
There's a line
where
that
is
I
the
draw.
line?
That's the only line you'll draw?
I mean, I think we've said last time I was on the show, like if I see a horror movie for less than $5, I'm kind of tempted just to check it out. It feels like I'm such a horror movie junkie that I figure that's a safe gamble, even if I hate it.
Well, that's the last time I bumped into you.
We were
was
at
it
Walmart looking in the $5 bin.
Yeah, right before Halloween. We were just scouring for goodies. I bought a shitload of stuff, and I'm pretty sure you had a handful of
I
things.
tried
as
to
well.
talk you into buying Deep Blue Sea. I don't think you were biting. You should.
No, I wanted the Blu-ray. I wanted the Blu-ray though.
Right.
That is a fucking meet cute if I've ever heard one. You guys bump into each other at the $5 bin at Walmart.
It was
Fireworks.
Meant to be. It was meant to be. Housebound from New
Oh,
Zealand.
I love that
yeah.
movie.
Yep.
Great horror comedy and has one of the best spit takes in film history. Yeah, this woman's forced to stay in her house with her crazy parents, her mother and her stepfather, and she becomes convinced that there's something else in the house.
And she's on house arrest.
Yeah, she can't leave, and it's not a predictable movie at all.
No.
But it's again another one that a lot of times I mention to people, and they're like, "I've never heard of
Great
that."
New Zealand movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they play that at the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival.
Oh,
It's great.
so
Yeah.
there it was. And the last one that I brought with me today is The Possession of David O'Reilly.
I feel like I've seen this and I feel like I've turned it off.
Oh, really?
But I don't know if it could be. There's so many The Possession of this. I'm pretty sure it's
Yeah.
The Possession of Michael something.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, that's the one I
Or
watched.
Michael King, yeah.
Michael
is
King.
Is that really bad?
Oh, it's
I have it
fucking
on
terrible.
the list that apparently it's pretty good. I was going to watch.
I don't like it, but
There's a lot of possession of so-and-sos.
Yeah.
The Michael King one is the one where the guy, was trying to disprove stuff, and he has
Yeah,
a bunch of curses
yes,
put on
that's the
himself.
one I
This
saw.
is a different one. It sort of rides the line of where it's you could interpret it as somebody who's suffering mental illness, but this guy, David O'Reilly, comes to his best friend and his girlfriend's house late at night, and he is terrified. He believes something is after him, but they believe he's got this anxiety disorder. He's mentally ill. But as the night goes on, they start becoming increasingly convinced that maybe something will be up. It's one of these really lo-fi, intimate one room, all about the interactions between the characters. But again, if it's your jam, it's it's got that verite style. It's sort of shaky cam, but it's not found footage. It's just that style. But again, it's just it's kind of sinks its fingernails into you a little bit, and it's another one that I find most people don't talk about. So that's why I brought it.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's an awesome second
Is that enough of what I've been watching?
Yeah, I would love to say that this is going to be in our show notes, but that would be so fucking much. I'll try and write all these down in the show notes so people can, if they're like, if they somehow miss the title, they can.
Well, maybe next time I'll bring 5 instead of 10. I'm sorry.
No, bring back next time you're bringing 20. That's the challenge for next time.
But I will pass the ball. Sorry.
There's nothing you want to. Anything else that you've kind of seen that give a shout out to?
I was bitching to you before we started that I finally watched 31.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Rob Zombie's become the director that I get around to. It's hard to get excited about the next Rob Zombie movie, but I want it to be good. So I'm disappointed when it is not. And I guess I agree with you guys. I was not a huge 31 fan. And I have just started watching Castle Rock out of loyalty to Stephen King.
Yeah, I still haven't finished it, but I'm 6 episodes in. It's really good.
Yeah.
But
so far I'm liking it. I've only watched the first disc.
It's like the end. I've heard such negative things about the ending that I just haven't kept going.
Oh dear.
I know, and I'm stupid. I should just finish it. But
I'm weirdly loyal to Stephen King. I will watch the worst Stephen King adaptations for whatever.
Oh, so you mean The Langoliers?
Oh, I can beat you that for sure.
No fucking way.
Worse than The Langoliers?
Yeah, let's hear it.
The Golden Years.
I've
never even heard of it.
I advise you guys to take a hard look at The Mangler.
Oh yeah, the Mangler's not worse than
The Mangler is brutal, dude. The Mangler is a brutal movie.
It is not worse than the Langoliers, though. Holy shit!
Yeah.
At least the Mangler's only an hour and a half.
Yeah, the length does become a bit of a problem, and the made-for-TV. They just spent the entire '90s making these completely gutted version of Stephen King adaptations. The good news is now that Stephen King's in vogue again, we might actually get a decent version of some of these ones that they previously PG'd, like It, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think considering it was for television, the It miniseries actually accomplished quite a bit, but they weren't going to touch the book. Right?
Okay, so I have a question. So you're a large Stephen King fan then?
I am an extra large Stephen King fan.
Do you own most of his catalog of film adaptations?
I own every single one until Netflix fucked me.
Gerald's Game.
They're not releasing Gerald's Game or 1922 on any medium other than Netflix.
That's so annoying.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question.
I've been collecting Stephen King.
Yet you can buy the
years.
Cloverfield Paradox right now in Blu-ray. Fucking
Fuck
drives me nuts.
Right? But again, that's there's money to be made. You can take advantage of us collectors, and B, that's just a shitty move. It's a shitty move, Netflix.
No, that really is. My follow-up question to that: do you own a copy of the Night Flyer?
I do.
Man,
holy fuck!
I've been looking for the Night Flyer for so long.
Oh,
I actually like it.
I like the Night Flyer fine. I've actually had some good luck with my Holy Grail finds. I actually recently acquired a copy of Fire in the Sky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is another out-of-print sci-fi movie from the early 90s, which is actually super decent. I got a copy of that finally.
I don't even think the Night Flyer is like an amazing movie. I just haven't seen it in so long, and I have these childhood memories of it. That I'm like,
you
I
want to
want
borrow the Night Flyer?
Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Did you get it in one of those 4-packs, or was it, you actually have? Because I know, I was looking. They have. We did an episode on. Was it my pick was Graveyard Shift?
Right.
And I know I can see that it's in one of those 4-pack things, but I've never seen just that movie.
It's the cardboard case, like this hidden one that nobody can see, the old school DVD cases with the plastic and the cardboard.
That's what my Demolition Man looks like.
That's my UK version of Valentine.
My very first let's talk about this because I saw this on Twitter today. Very first DVD purchase. Do you remember your very first DVD?
The very first DVDs I bought were the Royal Tenenbaums and The Man Who Wasn't There.
Okay, so you're fine. You're fine. You did good.
Thank you.
Driven by Sylvester Stallone.
Nice.
That was my first DVD.
Really?
Driven.
I have 2 because I bought them at the same time. It was Little Nicky and The Howling.
Oh, that's
the weirdest. I bought them from Walmart
you know
too.
What? Little Nicky's funny, but his fucking voice is a problem. But
my VHS collection was better though.
Really?
The first 2 movies I bought for my VHS collection.
Let's hear it.
Miller's Crossing and Tremors, baby.
Oh,
Tremors.
goddamn, that's a wicked mix. Yeah, you got Coen Brothers and fucking Tremors.
And so it began.
That's awesome. My first Blu-ray I bought at the same time was because I wanted to say that American Psycho was my first Blu-ray because I was like, I'm not making that same mistake again. Where Driven is going to be my first movie. But I got American Psycho and Mr. Deeds.
As long as you bought American Psycho
Yeah,
first.
I balanced it out. Cool. All right, Buzi, you been up to anything? You see some shit?
Yeah, I actually had to go and look back at our previous episode, not the book club one, to figure out if I had talked about these yet, but I hadn't, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Because it was my birthday, was that 2 weeks ago? I bought myself a present. I bought myself the steelbook of Halloween 2, because it's fucking awesome, and that's an awesome steelbook. So
The artwork is gorgeous.
I watched that on my birthday, and I was very happy with that. And
Quick question. Sorry, I don't mean to derail it.
No.
But talking about the new Halloween, I don't know why they couldn't have also incorporated Halloween 2.
They did. They just said that they didn't.
Okay.
Well, like, the ending is the same as Halloween 2 in a sense.
they just kind of stole from it.
Carpenter wrote the sequel.
Yes, in a drunken stupor.
And apparently ghost-directed sequences in the second one. And I do think it's a fine enough slasher movie, and I don't know why the whole thing couldn't happen leading up to the explosion in the hospital and make the break there where Loomis is killed. I have a lot of good things to say about that new Halloween movie, but they said that they were such fans of the franchise, and I really ask myself, are you a fan of the franchise if you dismiss everything except for one of the movies?
I think that we kind of talked about that. There's so much timeline stuff there that you kind of have to abandon a ton of it.
They had to abandon 2 because they were going the route of he's not Laurie Strode's brother,
right?
So that's why they would. That's the only reason, because otherwise, and I don't like the whole Michael and Laurie connection. I don't think that it's necessary. I'm with them on she doesn't need to be his sister for him to have this motivation. But I think Halloween 2 is a great movie. I really like Halloween 2.
It's not a smart movie, but it is a fun movie.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. And I love Buzi made one of the best depression memes I've ever seen out of that movie. I'll show you afterwards, but it's fucking awesome.
After watching it, honestly, and kind of thinking about, okay, Rob Zombie stole a lot from that in, I believe it was his 2 as well. I kind of just
dream sequence.
Yeah, I kind of just wish that the new one would have just retreaded too. Honestly, because I think that whole hospital scene or that whole hospital setting is
setting's awesome.
Perfect for Michael.
Great boobs too, right before the drowning. And that's the thing about Halloween 2 though, is that it always pisses me off as someone who has Jason Voorhees tattooed on my leg. I should never have a nitpick about a kill.
Right.
But it always drives me crazy watching Michael drown that woman in the hot tub and her face is boiling, but his hand is perfectly fine. I'm like,
it's because he's the devil.
I get that he's totally not human, but we see that he can break apart.
It's the cat jumping out of the cabinet thing in that movie that pisses me off the most. It's just the worst cliche that you can do, and they do it. And it's a hospiel. It's a hospital.
There's so many cool things you can do.
Why is
With
there
that being
a cat?
said, I love the finale of 2 with Michael not being able to see and kind of gouging her.
The loudest,
so he can bleed out of his eyes, but his hand can't burn.
Also, the loudest stabbing or swinging it.
Yeah.
But there's something powerful about her shooting his fucking eyes out, man. It's dark.
The aim in that.
Yeah.
And sorry,
she can't land a single shot on him in the new one.
The other thing I watched, this isn't horror, but I just had to quickly throw it in there, is I watched American Pie 2.
Jesus Christ.
And then I went, 2 is great. 2 I love great.
I know, but why the fuck are you talking about American Pie?
I know, I wanted to throw this in there because there's a little bit of levity here. And then I skipped over Wedding and I went to Reunion, and Reunion is one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen, and I never want to have kids because of it.
I can only imagine that franchise has aged like milk.
It has aged like milk.
There's something about 2 where it just
because
it's
you were
so
a kid.
innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. we always talk about The Office on here too, but one of my favorite bits about The Office is how we got a copy of Kevin's favorite movie, and it's American Pie 2. Like, so
it's a
funny.
good choice for Kevin, though.
It's so perfect, but like American Pie 2 was like amazing when I was 10. Like,
I still think it's fun.
Oh no, for sure. Like, but like, yeah, like Larry said, like there's so much just like sexual harassment in those movies, and
I
like
think it's like for me, it was like maybe the Police Academy series that I thought was really awesome when I was a kid, and then you just don't revisit them. You just let them be part of your childhood.
Well,
you know, like,
Police Academy kind of just became a punchline, honestly.
and deservedly so.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that maybe the same fate is gonna
Probably.
fall. I hate to step on the sacred cows here. I'm talking shit about American Pie.
yeah, like Tomcats and like that era of those movies where it's just like, let's see how gross we can be.
Yeah.
But like, oh god, I'm just gonna keep sounding like a horn dog if we keep talking about this because Shannon Elizabeth and fucking, are you kidding me? And Nadia, like,
That's all I've watched.
okay. I hope
Also, Shannon Elizabeth had a terrible nose job in Reunion.
I never finished Reunion.
It's not worth it.
Would you guys be upset with me if I told you I've only ever seen the first American Pie movies?
I cannot believe that you have The Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, but have not seen the Criterion edition of American
the
Pie 2.
Scream Factory, the Steel Book.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just showing my age here. I think even when those ones were coming out, they weren't necessarily for me.
So you never liked Blink-182? Never Blink? Not your thing?
I guess not. I mean, I've heard Blink-182.
Yeah.
I am indifferent.
Okay.
Give me. This is super off topic, but give me a band that you like. What's a band that you listen
Yeah,
to?
Should I
never
say
talk
Weezer just to start a fight?
Don't you fucking dare. Where's this coming from?
I saw you. You were online bitching with somebody about Weezer.
Oh, probably, yeah.
I just think that's hilarious that you're so mad about Weezer. Weezer's such a benign thing. It's like
That's the problem.
It's like background music. It's
That's
not hurting anybody.
They're elevator music. They're the most boring fucking...
Yeah, but they're not hurting anyone.
No, but they are, because they're somehow still so popular, and there's so many people who think that they're like, oh, I love Wes Anderson movies, and like you talked about Royal Tenenbaums, but like I know all the guys who love like Royal Tenenbaums and Wes Anderson. They're like, we can only listen to the first 2 Weezer albums,
right?
Like it's just a cliche of those types of people.
Well, I hate to shame myself, but my wife and I actually saw Weezer when they were here.
My sister went too. I know lots of people who love Weezer.
I will say they played at us, not for us.
Yeah.
That's sort of one of the things that when I go see a live concert, that's sort of my dividing line. It's not necessarily a good or bad thing. It can still be a good show, but there's sort of the artists that want to engage, and there's the artists where this is tonight.
They want to play the tight set, and that's it. They don't want any interaction. Yeah.
Weezer is very much a get or done band, but I mean, I've been listening to them since I was in high school, and I've always found them completely harmless and benign.
Exactly.
I do not understand why there's this like
they were the
backlash against. How dare they still be around this long? It's like maybe it's like if you look at it from like, why is Weezer still here, but there's no more Soundgarden? You know,
well, because he's dead.
Well, exactly. But that's my thing. Why does Weezer still a thing, but we only got 4 Nirvana albums, right? It's not fair.
Yeah, I know it is not fair. Like the singer of Weezer should have killed himself, and we should have kept Chris Cornell. I'm kidding.
Well, I grew up.
I would trade Chris Cornell for the singer of Weezer, though.
You talk about shameful first purchases. The first album that I bought with my own money was Tiffany.
Oh, hell yeah.
On cassette tape.
That's fine. My first album was Dumb and Dumber soundtrack.
And then I think it was Roxette.
Oh.
Because she's got the look for some reason. I did not fall for the New Kids on the Block or the Milli Vanilli, which a lot of the kids in my neighborhood were down with. But
losers.
And then I went through my hair metal phase. You know, I was very big into...
you loved Rat.
Not so much rap. I was into, especially when I was a kid, a lot of the really cheesier ones.
Poison.
Bon Jovi, Poison, Def Leppard, like the bad 80s hair bands. Mm-hmm. But the now are sort of nostalgically good bad. When I hear Pour Some Sugar on Me on the radio, it kind of makes me smile. Because when I was a kid, I thought that was so fucking awesome.
Oh, I still have a couple of Poison songs on my iPod that I'll listen to. Because it's like, it's good time rock. It's dad rock,
I
basically,
think
at this point.
Hot take. Undeniably, though, the worst song ever written is "It's My Life" by Bon Jovi. Every time you're like, boom, boom.
Hey, I am not proud. I am not proud of this. I'm just telling you, this is what I grew up with. So I was much more into the alt rock sort of flavor. I gobbled up the Seattle sound stuff of the '90s with the knife and fork, and was never really big on the hip hop or the sort of
Okay, so I guess going back to original question is, what kind of music do you like? We've never like.
If someone asked me what my
Judgment Free Zone.
Judgment Free Zone. You can say you like Weezer. It's fine.
I wouldn't say it was my favorite band, but I have no problem with Weezer.
Yeah.
There was a time that I
have you heard
Weezer.
their last 6 albums?
What the fuck do we keep talking about Weezer?
Because
this episode is brought to you by Weezer.
Because you obviously witnessed the post that I even deleted because I pissed people off so much because I went for easy bands and then I put Weezer in there because I'm like, everyone loves Weezer. And I was clearly trolling.
Well,
but they suck.
I know that it's a divisive pick, but I love Radiohead. I've always been a big Radiohead
yeah,
fan.
you're fine.
And strangely, and I finally got to see them live in Saskatoon. I can't believe they came to Saskatoon. But as a sort of a bright light to sort of balance the darkness of Radiohead, I love me some They Might Be Giants. I've always loved me some They Might Be Giants. I know people sort of want to file them into like the Weird Al Yankovic joke, kitschy song performance, but like those guys have been writing catchy ass tunes for like 35 years, and I get the feeling like whether or not they had this band, the pair of them would be writing songs every day.
Just in their basement.
They just shit songs out of their head every day. Like that's just what they were built to do. And if you become a fan of theirs, it rewards you because like every couple of weeks there's new They Might Be Giants.
Hell yeah.
But so from the really sort of dark, sad, intoning Tom York to the way too happy nasal jumping.
I'm the same way, man.
They Might Be Giants. And I like a lot in between, but those two, I guess, if someone put a gun to my head and said pick your favorites, those are my two.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Any answer would have been fine.
What's your favorite Radiohead song?
I guess I'll say Fog, but that's fucking tough, man. That's fucking tough.
Well, at least you got the approval from Jeff Thiessen before he attacks you on Facebook for your preferences, but he's a big Radiohead fan. So,
is he? Is he the guy who was talking shit about Weezer?
He's
he talks shit about everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're talking about, it was Jeff who was shitting on Weezer. But his, to be fair, his article is one of the funniest things I've read in like a long time where he's talking about his eyes twitching while he's listening to the cover album.
It must be hard days for hating Weezer because they've been releasing an album every 6 months.
I know.
Like they've just been. I guess they've been going the route of They Might Be Giants.
A crazy Jeff is my favorite Jeff. Okay, and your favorite.
Stop talking about Weezer.
Yeah, we'll stop. I'll get on to what I've been seeing, but favorite Imagine Dragons song.
Oh dear. Is it bad if I can't name an Imagine
No,
Dragons
that is
song?
the right answer. All right, we're moving on. Okay, so I'm going to bend the genre hard today.
There's
harder than American Pie?
No, definitely nowhere near as hard as American Pie.
Last time I was here, you were going on about how Cobra Kai was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
That was when you were here?
That's right.
I stand by it.
As a liner note to this, it's a running joke that Mitch, every once in a while, this is his favorite thing.
This is
the greatest thing in the last...
It's been almost a year since you've been here last time.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it was the Session 9 episode.
Yeah, so it's been almost...
Bless your heart for picking that.
It's been almost a year. Let me reiterate now. Cobra Kai is fucking awesome. Okay. And I've watched it again since then.
You stand by it.
The only thing, like I said that it was the best show that year, and I 100% thought that, and then I saw The Haunting of Hill House. But completely different things. But Cobra Kai is still great. I'm not going to... Well, actually, I am going to be blowing one thing, and I am going to be making a statement saying this is... I'm just going to say right now.
Okay, it's no one's attacking you for saying that. It's just a very common thing for you to be like, this is the best thing in this long, or this is one of my favorites.
I think that
hyperbole is welcome. Hyperbole is welcome.
Like, there's the whole debate about, do you need to talk about what's best, or can you just like everything? I think that is a crown that needs to be worn by someone to say, like, the best action movie is... I finally figured it out.
Since you are going back through all our old episodes, like if you could just write down every time Mitch says something is the best or the greatest, you would have a long list.
Eat my ass. Okay.
Is that what you've been watching?
I've been battling. What is the best action movie ever made? Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Yep.
Or Mad Max Fury Road.
T2.
Mad Max Fury Road blows it out by a fucking country mile. But if anyone tries to make it seem like I do not love Terminator 2 with every fiber of my being, and that it is just like, I love everything about it. I will never say a negative thing about Terminator 2, but fuck me.
Which version of Mad Max?
Fury Road. Like
the black and
I didn't
white?
watch the black and chrome, no. But you've obviously seen it. Do you have a different opinion about best action movie ever made?
Look, I mean, it's hard to argue Fury Road, especially considering the same dude who made Mad Max completely like Gorilla.
And Pig in the City.
All these years. Yeah, all these years later, and a dancing fucking penguin movie.
Happy
for
feet.
Christ's sake. But the fact that he came back and made that epic an action movie, fine. My knee-jerk reaction when people say best action movie is always Die Hard.
And I was just about to say fuck Die Hard.
But my knee-jerk reaction is Die Hard because... not just because I think it's a great movie, but it was the first action movie that I really saw and connected with. Like, it was before Bruce Willis was a prick and everybody, you know, like, it was like, and at the time, the action heroes were all Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, these invincible people, and to see a hero who actually bled when he got hit and, you know, cut his feet and seemed like vulnerable was a big move. And the other thing that's aged crazily well, and I just watched with my son, and he liked it so much that he voluntarily watches it by himself. And
Double Team.
Speed.
Oh, yeah. The Speed is awesome.
Speed is a fucking
Speed
fantastic
is great.
action movie.
And same with Speed 2
It's
Cruise
not
Control.
smart. No, Speed 2, I can't
Cruise
help
Control.
you with.
That's what it's called.
I cannot help you with Speed 2.
And it's on a cruise.
But as far as just momentum and action, I think
Speed's
that
great.
Speed is a fantastic movie. I mean, again,
Dennis Hopper's
can
great.
it compete with Fury Road? No, that's not a fair comparison. But I think that's an amazingly handled piece of action for sure.
Yeah, and that's why it's always like, well, you never want to say something that's kind of newer is the best, because there's all these contrarians out there who's got to be like, oh no, it's got to be one of the older ones. But it's just the fact that a 70-year-old man made Mad Max Fury Road. I just showed, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I've been showing Courtney all of these movies that she's never seen before that I feel are ones that, like, you need to see this. Like, she hadn't seen RoboCop or The Terminator or Terminator 2. And so we watched those, and we watched Terminator 2, and then we watched Mad Max, because I was like, I need to settle this. And I fucking love Terminator 2. And I think I have a Terminator 2 connection the way that you have a Die Hard connection.
Right, it was your first.
It was my first, and it was the one that I just over and over and over again. I adore that movie. I love it. But the thing always comes down to is Terminator 2 has a better storyline than Mad Max. Upon revisit, it really fucking doesn't. Like, it really fucking doesn't. And like, Mad Max actually has a pretty strong story. But I plea for people who haven't seen Fury Road yet, like, to just...
Is there anyone out there that hasn't seen Fury Road?
Man, there's a lot. Courtney hadn't seen it.
Right.
Like, and she loves action movies. And I told her, I was like, are you ready for your fucking life to change?
We live in a glorious age for action, though. This whole gung fu and like John Wick and the Raid franchise has really upped action. It's like, I watched a bunch of 70s movies with for preparing for another podcast with Lee, and like, all the fights in those movies are like Star Trek TV fights. They're like really lame.
Oh, they're bad.
They look comically bad now by today's standards, and like, we're just spoiled. Action is really, you know,
especially if you like, even if you just YouTube, like, because Courtney didn't believe me, I had to show her on YouTube, like, he did all these things. Like, in Mad Max, like, there's like very minimal CGI. 80% of it is 100%. 80% of it is 100% real.
80%, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's amazing, and I just highly recommend. I had so much fun rewatching it. I saw it 4 times in theaters. Like, that's one of the last movies where I was like, I need to go see this as much as possible because it's only going to be here for so long.
Mad Max?
Yeah.
It's really rare when a blockbuster honestly lives up to the hype. And
yeah,
that movie honestly
it's
lives up
because
to the hype.
it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's the characters and the even the dialogue and like everything about it. It's just, it is. I can't help but watch it and just go. Like, I was giggling like a little schoolgirl because I'm like, this is fucking nuts, and I've seen it so many times.
There's a former WWE wrestler in that movie.
What is he? The one I had a baby brother. He's one of
I can't.
What's his name?
Nathan Jones.
I think that
That's
he's
his
bald. Is he
wrestling
bald?
name.
Is he
Yes.
bald? Yeah,
He's like big.
yeah. He's the one who he's Immortan Joe's like little henchman there.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Okay. So enough blowing Mad Max Fury Road. Watch it again if you haven't seen it in a while. Last thing is that definitely not a horror movie, but it toes the line.
So you didn't watch any horror movies for
No.
once.
I watched
in a
one, and
week.
it's for next week. Yeah. I've been reading a lot, man.
Hopefully watching some witch movies too.
I will. We'll talk about that at the end here. But out of pure necessity, I was listening to the new. I was listening to Rank and Review because I love Rank and Review, and you guys are doing your series on Martin Scorsese films.
Yes.
I have a blank spot in my Scorsese filmography that I saw it when I was a kid, but I think I fell asleep and I just never went back to it. And Lee Beckman claims that it's his favorite Scorsese movie. I watched Bringing Out the Dead. So Nicolas Cage, Patricia Arquette, Martin Scorsese film. It follows Nicolas Cage is a paramedic who's he's in Hell's Kitchen, New York, and it's just basically going through a couple nights of his life, I believe. And he's having a real tough time because he can't seem to save anyone. Everyone he touches dies. Yeah. And he's like going through a real dark spot. So that alone is a great premise for a movie. This is one of the most tonally inconsistent movies I've ever seen, and if it was made by anyone else, that would be a flaw. I think that it's great in this. I've really enjoyed this movie.
I think I said when we did it on Rank and Review that there's the slightly religious Scorsese or the very religious Scorsese movie. I think this one maybe leads towards the very religious Scorsese. It
totally is, yeah.
And it's not subtle in that way. It's based off of a novel, and I think what I connected to with that is the whole idea of being a grief mop and that becoming his job.
Yeah,
totally. What he describes it as. His job becomes less about saving these people's lives and more about bearing witness to their death.
Yeah.
And it's slowly destroying him. It's killing him. And it's the themes are dark, but the movie's gorgeous.
Yeah. I think well, like, and it's no secret I've talked about many times on this podcast, but Nicolas Cage is actually one of my favorite actors. I adore him as an actor. He's made a lot of poor mistakes, a lot of poor decisions, but, you know, I grew up off of Con Air and Face Off and all that shit, so I loved it. But
he's a complete wild card to me
he
at
is,
this point.
but
you just don't know what you're going to get.
He's
it might
killing
be
it lately,
amazing.
though.
It might be fucking awful. You just don't know.
Yeah, well, like, to put it in perspective, the guy made Left Behind and then 2 years later made Mandy, which is absolutely insane. And like, I think that there's like Mandy's proven to be a very divisive one that people aren't really on board for. It seems people are either really on board for it or really not. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. I love that movie. Have you seen it yet?
I'm going to give it another day in court. I liked it. I didn't love it. It's one of these style as substance movies.
I don't think it's that, though. But I think a lot of people think that. And I didn't feel that way.
Because, I mean, the basic story that's being told is...
It's pretty basic. Yeah.
A bad thing happens and revenge needs to be had, and revenge is had. It's all about the presentation. And I really like the presentation, but it was just, I don't know. There's the movie that you have... I find that there's sometimes, especially when there's a lot of noise around a movie, you get a picture in your head of what you think it's going to be, and then when it's not that, it disappoints you, and that doesn't mean that the movie's bad. It just means that it didn't meet your expectations. So sometimes I have to go back to it.
Yeah, it's I really like it.
I like Cage in it.
Yeah, even look at the way Cage is at the beginning of that movie and then versus the end. Like that's character development at its finest. I love that movie. But yeah, I really enjoy Bringing Out the Dead. The only thing is, the last thing I'll say about it is, next time Lee Beckman's here, I'm going to have to give him a Rorschach test because I think he's fucking insane for saying this is the best Scorsese movie. Or his favorite, you can't get mad at someone for. But to say this is your favorite Scorsese movie?
I mean, in a way, it is a perfect Scorsese movie as far as the themes and his approach, and it being New York, and it being stylistically strong, but with deep religious themes. Like, it is everything great about Scorsese in one movie, but do I think it's better than Goodfellas? No.
Fuck no. But it is cool that it's the routine.
I really like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it a lot too, and it's the Paul Schrader. Like, it does have a lot of Taxi Driver themes. Yeah. You can draw a lot of comparisons between Taxi Driver.
One more thing before we are you close to
I'm done.
Okay, I just wanted to know quickly, favorite Scorsese film?
Ugh. Well, I my knee-jerk reaction is Goodfellas. I mean...
It's the correct answer, but
yeah.
It's tough, though.
I really, really think that Taxi Driver is a powerful piece of work, and it is like...
Those are my top two.
It is almost the genre piece of the 70s in a lot of ways, or like crime movie of the 70s. I mean, the pace is different than we're used to now, but I mean, there's just something indelible about that movie. And then I also, I guess because I freshly watched it, I revisited Raging Bull. And I mean, that movie is so fucking ugly. The subject matter is brutal, but the filmmaking in it is just gorgeous. So it's tough. Like, I mean, I could do a top 10 Scorsese's, but again, I'm going to go with my gut and just say Goodfellas, because it was one of those, I saw it at a young age, but it completely engaged me. Like, it was
like you remember the first time you watched it.
Yeah. And a lot of times when, Dad was watching a movie or whatever, I just put up with it because it was on. I was fucking into Goodfellas.
That's the same with me. That's my dad's favorite movie. So yeah, that's cool. Do you have a favorite Scorsese movie?
I'm stuck between two, much like you guys. While I do agree that Taxi Driver is an incredible movie, I actually want to say it's either Goodfellas or The Departed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Departed is fucking...
The Departed, I feel like sometimes kind of gets left behind. I know a lot of people say it is a good movie, but you don't fully fathom that it's fantastic.
We just rewatch it, and I do think that it is a 99.8% perfect movie. And I think people are unfair about it because it's later in his catalog.
Exactly. That's why I feel like it's not a popular answer, because you're not going, oh, it's not one of his classics. I think that should be considered.
It has one of the worst final shots.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the rat.
The bird? The
rat. That's the 0.2%. Like, there's a Kickstarter to get the rat removed from The Departed.
It's just shockingly like on the nose in a movie that hadn't been that shockingly on the nose, right? But
if you're talking about it, that's your only gripe with it.
No, I know.
Really not that much.
And again, I think it's a lot of fun. It's an entertaining action movie, and it definitely defies the audience's expectations, and it is thoroughly entertaining. But no, I don't think it's in competition with Goodfellas or Taxi Driver for me.
Okay.
I'm glad that he finally won his fucking Oscar, though. As much as I don't have a lot of respect for the Oscars, I give the man his Oscar. Good God.
Yeah, I could easily talk for 10 hours about Scorsese. Easily. But like, that's especially like... Oh, no, I'm not. We're a horror podcast. I can't talk about Gangs of New York. We're going to take a break, we will. Dude. I love Gangs of New York, but we will be back after this little tune, and we will get into some news. So, Buzi, can you please hit me and Larry with some motherfucking newsies?
All right, it's time for news. I actually read some stuff, not just headlines, so that's become a running joke.
I can't wait to share the picture that Tara drew of you.
I'm so excited for that because I dibsed it. I want it.
Tara drew a hilarious picture of Buzi, and it's him in his room, but with like those, like when people get obsessed with art, like a serial killer, and they have like red strings across their room,
right?
But it's just all headlines and Buzi's. It's Buzi's newsies. He's got like strings going everywhere. Okay.
So we have the creators of Cam are going to be working with Blumhouse Productions and Sam Raimi on their next film. They haven't really released what the subject matter is of it, but I believe they are writing it as well. So that's good for them, is that they're starting to move up, especially because Cam did so well. I still haven't seen it myself, but it seems like everybody really enjoyed it.
You should watch Cam. Definitely, it's one of those ones where like the ending doesn't... I don't want to... Because you might be okay with it, but it's like everything's so good up until the ending. The ending is like, it's not horrible, but it's just like that. I don't know. Have you seen Cam yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down with obviously I'm on my show defending found footage. Trying to get people to be less dismissive of the genre. I guess, could you call it fairly found footage?
Yeah, well, partially because they do like Skype
There's
stuff.
There's sequences that are in it, but it's a straight movie. I like the point of view on it. I like the acting in it. I'm not foaming at the mouth, but you can definitely tell this is talented people.
Yeah.
And I would love to see what they did with the proper budget.
Totally. I agree.
Next up, we have, because Stephen King's really popular, another one of his films is being adapted for the big screen, which is The Talisman.
Yes.
And it's coming from Mike Barker, and he's done quite a bit of TV stuff, most notably like Outlander. He did some stuff with Fargo, and he also directed The Handmaid's Tale. I haven't seen that movie, but I remember reading the book in... I
think it's a TV show.
Yeah, there's also a TV movie for that as well.
TV show. Yeah, because I've been meaning to watch it because I've heard nothing but good things.
There's a movie of it as well, like an older one.
Okay.
I remember seeing that. Next thing up, we have the first trailer for Doom Annihilation. And
I didn't watch it.
I actually watched it, and surprisingly looks kind of competent.
Cool.
I don't know if you guys both seen the original.
I am familiar with the original Doom movie. I'm not a big video game guy, but I actually did play old school Doom back in the day. And again, I think, like I said, the Wreck movies, especially the first two, is what Doom should have been.
Yeah. I love Doom, like the movie,
oh, really?
but for all of the wrong reasons.
Oh, yeah, okay. No,
It was fairly panned.
It's brutal.
But this movie, the trailer so far, I mean, from what I've seen, watching the trailer, it looks a little more faithful to what people wanted from Doom, less kind of the rock campy goofy elements.
Right.
It seems more like a straightforward, we're taking this very seriously. Whether that hinders it when it comes out or not, I guess is yet to be seen.
I wish Diego was here so that he could weigh in on this, but I'm not totally familiar with the Doom franchise, but I do know, I think it's called the BFG, and that's going to be in the movie. The big fucking gun is going to be in the movie.
Next up, we have Dave Franco is directing his first film. And it's starring Dan Stevens. The title of the film will be The Rental. And it's about two couples who rent an Airbnb vacation home and begin to suspect that the owner of the home is spying on them. And it also has, what the fuck's her name? There's one other female actor in there who's fairly well known.
Well, okay, what is it? The Rental? Let's look this up right now.
I believe the other girl was in Community, I want to say.
Alison Brie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Alison Brie. Yeah, she was in Community.
Oh,
and
my girlfriend.
Yeah. She is gorgeous.
She's very attractive, yes.
Yeah. Very likable.
And we've already gotten talks about another escape room coming out, but also escape room, the first one will be out on VOD, I believe it's April 9th. So you can get your copy of that. And it has different openings as well as it has a different ending.
I'd watch that movie again. The ending was fucking terrible.
It would be interesting to see what their alternate ending would have been, whether it be a little more straightforward or kind of dumb shit. I like that movie, but it was a dumb shit.
It doesn't make sense that we both like that movie. Like, we both give it a pass, and it's like we should by all means hate this movie, but there's enough redeeming factors in it. I had a fun time watching it.
I plead ignorance. I've not seen it.
It's coming out. You'll be able to see it soon.
It's all right.
I'm sure it'll be in your DVD collection at some point.
Sooner or later.
Early reviews are coming out for Jordan Peele's Us.
That's what I have here.
Yeah. It seems for the most part, whether it's those, those reviews that come out and after when you look back at it, you go, what the fuck were they watching? It seems like for everybody really enjoys this movie.
Yeah, it's being like touted as a new horror masterpiece, and
when you come out with something like Get Out, the next movie is going to go one way or the other.
I was like, he's in the most stressful position.
Right.
Yeah. Even if it's just like pedestrian good, it'll be considered a flop for Jordan Peele.
Yeah, apparently this is just a fucking masterpiece, and I'm very, very, very excited for it.
Sign me up. Yeah,
I think
sure.
and that's one thing I want to mention on that is that while I was reading like all those reviews and everything, I'm like, damn, like this is like, you know how in the 80s they were getting like Carpenter movies and stuff like that, like how he was like you're in like that you're in a golden age of horror movies at some point, like with the Carpenter movies. I feel like that's Jordan Peele is what we have right now, and it's like it's so exciting to be. He's what's making it so exciting to be a horror fan right now, because he's truthfully going balls to the wall with his horror movies and like trying.
And one of the best
things.
parts is they're so different from everything else. He's not doing that typical route of here's a possession movie or here's this or that. It's something we're not seeing, which I think is also very refreshing for everyone who's watching that.
Yeah.
Well, here's hoping he does live up to the hype, because he's been thrown Candyman, he's been thrown The Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah. Please follow through with this. I mean, I have faith. Don't get me wrong.
It would be really interesting to find out things that he's been thrown that he didn't want to take on, because I'm assuming there's a lot of things that already have fairly large titles that he's probably been offered.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just hope it's not a Shyamalan type of trajectory where he makes a fantastic movie and then it becomes diminishing returns, and then it becomes, remember when Jordan Peele was great? I mean, I haven't seen any of his movies. I don't want that for him, but it does seem like it goes one way or the other, doesn't it? You either become John Carpenter or you become somebody that nobody talks about.
But that, and John Carpenter had his misses as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I will watch John Carpenter's worst movie before I'll watch a lot of
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm so like, now I'm like, fuck it. Like, Us is in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I think it's next week. It's next week, March 22nd. Yeah.
Do you guys know about the Tall Grass when that's coming out?
The Tall Grass.
In the Tall Grass?
I don't
It's another
know.
Stephen King adaptation from the guy who did Cube and...
Cube.
Canadian filmmaker.
Yeah, Vincenzo Natali, and he did that Splice movie that's super fucked up with Adrian
Was that the one where?
Brody and
Yeah, I remember going to see that in theaters.
Yeah.
What a strange
that
movie.
movie is fucking crazy.
I've only seen it once, but it's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like I remember liking it, but being like, "Well, I'll never do that again." But
I
now
think I
I
had
want
the same
to.
reaction. I was like, "This is fine, but I don't want to watch it again."
It's weird and perverse in a way only a Canadian horror movie
Oh,
seems
yeah,
to be able
Patrick
to pull off.
Wilson.
And as much as I like Adrian Brody, he's just off-putting as a person for me. I don't know why. Just his characters he plays.
Well, there's been a lot of hype about the new Pet Sematary that's about to come out.
I'm very
And
excited for
I'm
that.
super stoked for the next It installment.
Yeah.
This movie's also coming out this year, and I don't hear any hype around it. I don't know if that's bad news, but I mean...
It says it's still filming.
Oh, is it still
Yeah, I
filming?
just
Okay.
looked it up. So
Okay.
potentially it'll probably be a 2020.
All right. Never mind. I apologize for bringing it up.
We're gonna redact that.
Redaction.
Next up, Airwolf and Extros 2 star Jan Michael Vincent passed away at 73.
Alas. Airwolf,
And
baby.
from what I remember, knowing about Jan Michael Vincent is he was like a violent alcoholic for most of his life.
That's where we're gonna celebrate him.
But
Like, I'm sure he'd prefer to be remembered for Airwolf.
Or the mechanic.
well, I feel like he's one of those guys who could have been a really big star, and I think he kind of derailed himself.
He
and
Michael
was,
Beaned his career.
Yeah, and he kind of set himself to be kind of that B movie guy when he probably had potential to be a lot more than that.
I
Yeah.
think it's a bad decision to decide that you're too good for any particular project.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have that on your brain, then it's more about you than your career, and
Yeah.
you kind of deserve to
And
be
then
shelved.
a lot of times when people do that, they come crawling back
Oh,
after,
yeah.
and it's you're already tainted.
I think Christopher Lee was offered Donald Pleasance's role in Halloween.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Like, fuck. Fuck.
I like me some Donald Pleasance.
Me too. Yeah. Especially in Prince of Darkness. Fuck Boozy.
You're not a Prince of Darkness fan?
No.
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
Does that make it makes no sense.
The only thing that doesn't work in the movie is the humor, as far as I'm concerned. Whenever they're trying to be funny, they fail, but the rest of that movie totally works for me.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I'm looking forward to rewatching it soon.
Next up, Conjuring 3 will begin filming this June, and we talked about this quite a while back, and it sounded like the idea that was being pitched around for the storyline will involve a werewolf.
Yeah, it's a guy who thinks that he's a werewolf.
Yeah, which is super exciting.
I thought they were going to do the Entity case for some reason.
No, because I think James Wan owns the rights for the Entity, so I don't know if he's planning on remaking it, but
Let's see.
I think that's probably where it's going, but I don't think that they would do that into a Conjuring, because Lorraine and Ed Warren didn't have anything to do with the
Okay.
Entity, even though they're full of
Well,
shit.
I mean,
Pieces
they
of shit.
completely. This is utter fantasy. I understand that they like to sell movies on that's based on a true story, but I get weary with it. You know.
Yeah,
I
especially
think,
the Entity.
Yeah, I
That's a
think
tough one.
you're totally right. Is that over the years that has kind of become to mean nothing,
Right.
because you're looking at it's not even a grain of salt anymore. You're like, no, none of this.
I
was-
hate when it's based on truth. Like whenever they like shove that kind of shit down your throat, I can't stand it.
In a recent Twitter Q&A, Jason Blum was asked about the possibility of a Sinister 3, which he said no. But he did say that there's a chance that the character Bagul will show up in something else, which makes me less interested, honestly.
I really liked that first Sinister movie a lot, man.
It was good, except for he didn't know how to turn on a light. That's my only real problem with the movie. That, and I can't stand whenever a monster has to jump in front of a screen.
Boo.
Yeah, like the ending of Sinister, I was like, oh, what a bummer. But yeah, Sinister 2, I was there for, because
Super 8 films were creepy, man.
yeah, and yeah, they were. But I was who's the director that we were talking about who did Citadel? I'm not remembering his name right now, but he
I
did
did the
Sinister.
sequel, yeah.
Yeah, he did Citadel.
I guess
He-
we just talked about this
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I need
Deja
to-
vu all over
Because
again.
yeah, he's an Irish director. I'm pulling it up right here. Kieran Foy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Sinister 2 was just such a fucking letdown.
Yeah.
It was just so kooky in not a good way.
It's how you make a non-impressive sequel. It's just like we had a really good concept and a really interesting character. What are you going to do with it? The same thing.
Let's play it really safe.
But it's unfortunate that they're not going to try. And I mean, I think that Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is hilariously awful, for instance. But if they'd pulled the plug, we wouldn't have got Dream Warriors, and
Sure.
that would have been a
I
world
know.
that I want nothing to do it.
Yeah, kill me. I already don't want to be alive, let alone one without Dream Warriors.
Come on.
Yeah.
Next up, Mary Harron, the director of American Psycho, has a current film that's going to be coming out. I believe it'll be on VOD May 10th, 2019, and it'll be called Charlie Says, and it'll be based upon the Charles Manson murders.
There's a lot of Manson shit coming out lately.
Yeah. I'm hoping they do it a little more tastefully than, what was that movie? Wolves at the Door.
Yeah.
That was garbage.
I still haven't watched that one, but yeah.
There's The Ghost of Sharon Tate, and there's another
with
one.
Hilary Duff.
Yeah. Again,
What is this?
Yeah, The Ghost of Sharon Tate. Isn't that the one Hilary Duff is in?
I don't know. I can't back you up on that, but I can back you up on that movie exists. And there's another Manson movie coming out before the Tarantino one. And apparently the guy who played Manson in it was so good that Tarantino cast him again. So he's playing Manson in 2 movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know where this Charlie Manson fever is coming
I
from.
think
The Haunting of Sharon Tate. Yeah, is with Hilary Duff. She plays Sharon Tate.
Boom.
I don't think it's just a Manson thing per se. I think it's kind of that whole serial killer thing is really big right now, and I think a lot of it has to do with the success of even the Bundy tapes that you're looking at now. Where I know that some of these things were in production before that, but it just feels like they're all coming around this same area where that's hot right now to do that.
I think podcasts play a big role in it too, because look at like the most famous podcast on earth right
Serial?
now. Serial. My Favorite Murder is like probably the most famous podcast right now. Like people love true crime, so.
Yeah, and true crime is something that can always be covered again and again. The amount of times I've listened to podcasts on certain serial killers where you, even if you pick up one small detail, like you just keep
People are junkies about it.
Yeah, you just keep soaking it up. And this is I don't know if you guys had any more
I got
for
nothing.
news. Okay, I have one last thing, and it's the most important thing. And it is The Big Bang Theory is finally done. May 16th. Rotten Hell, that piece of shit TV show.
I've never been a fan. I mean, again, much like Weezer, I don't feel.
Oh,
like,
so you don't feel like it's hurt anybody?
Well, I mean, I haven't. It's made no impact on my life personally, but it's just like it's another sitcom. You know, to me, it's why waste an emotion as powerful as hate on a sitcom?
I think for me, it's coupled with the amount of times I was forced to watch that show, where it's like, come on, just watch an episode. I'm like, I really don't want to do this, so I've seen more episodes than I.
There's been a lot of times where I've been in a place where it's been on and I've had no choice. It's kind of like hearing AC/DC on the radio, like where it's just
you're
shoved down your
forced
throat.
to watch something you don't want to watch, and I find the humor is. I don't know why we're still talking about it, but I find the humor is so shit.
You know what we should talk about? Weezer.
Don't. No, but I will say one of my
Just
favorite.
go on So Be It if you want to talk about Weezer.
Yeah, if it ever seems like Jeff is attacking you on Facebook, he's not.
Okay.
It's just he's a friendly asshole. But no, where was I getting at with what were you just talking about? Oh,
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. Watching my grandpa. He's my Guido, but I call him Dito. Anyways, watching him watch The Big Bang Theory was awesome. Because the guy's just laughing his ass off, and I just thought it was so funny. I don't know. Sorry.
I guess he has a level of not cynicism that I do.
If people enjoy it, whatever. But like where I don't like The Big Bang Theory, this is the last thing before we fall down a rabbit hole, is that like its depiction of nerds is so fucking wrong.
It is not nerd culture, and that's that's resentable about it. But again, I never cared enough about it to care that it was on or not on.
Larry, start hanging out with us more. You'll have more hate in your heart. You'll have more hate.
I can get pissed off about things. Don't you worry. But,
Let's get fucking angry.
I like to pick my battles.
That's fair. I think the way we could look at it is if they made a TV show that had 12 seasons where it was a bunch of horror nerds, and instead of really delving into any of that, they just used buzzwords.
Yeah.
Like they'd be like, "Oh, this is funny, kind of like Alien," and then everyone would go, "Oh, I've seen Alien." That's what they do with Star Trek and they do with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have for news. If you want to get on to the main feature,
We will get on to our main feature, so we will see you after this little tune, and we will be talking about Larry's pick, A Dark Song.
Done this 3 times. Once it worked, twice it didn't.
I have to hear his voice again.
This is your last chance to back out.
Seal it.
You do know what we're taking on.
shifting consciousness, becoming one with the ceremony, pure.
And may all my transgressions be washed.
This is real stuff we're playing with. Real angels, real demons.
Make me chaste and pure. How do we know that it started?
You'll see it soon enough.
May my light be here now, protecting me.
Drink it!
Just remember who's paying for this.
Do you know the ritual?
No.
You agreed to do whatever I said.
Sorry.
Sorry, Mr. Solomon.
Sorry, Mr. Solomon.
Take off your jeans.
And may all my transgressions be washed. And make me chaste and pure. Washed and chaste and pure. Make me chaste and pure. May my light be here now. May my light be here. May my guiding me. Protecting me.
It's not your son.
I know. And may all my transgressions be washed. And make me chaste and pure.
This is the price of our rage. Embrace it. Don't fear it.
May my light be here now. Guiding me.
No, don't cross the line. We'll be stuck here forever.
Maybe we should stop.
We can't stop. I need you to be driven.
Protecting me.
Welcome to our main feature presentation, in which we are going to be discussing Larry Parsons' pick, A Dark Song, which was directed by Liam Gavin and was also written by Liam Gavin. It's also starring Steve Oram, Catherine Walker, Susan Loffen, and Mark Huberman. There's not many people in this movie, actually, and we'll get to talking about that, but the synopsis is: a determined young woman and a damaged occultist risk their lives and souls to perform a dangerous ritual that will grant them what they want. And this movie came out in 2016. I think it didn't hit Canada until 2017 because it was in my 2017's top 10s of 2017.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I also apologize to anyone that I've been saying on multiple, like we've been talking about this episode for the last 3 episodes, telling you guys that Larry's going to be on. But I had said every time, yeah, and it's on Netflix, so go and watch it on Netflix. It's no longer on Netflix, which sucks. But luckily I had a copy of it, so watch that. Larry, why did you choose this movie?
Well, I mean, last time I was here, we talked about Session 9, and I guess the oppressive vibe of that movie is what I think really made it work. The atmosphere, just the weighted heaviness of the movie.
We had such a good talk about
Yeah.
that too. Like, just thinking about it again. Oh, yes.
Great movie, and there's not a lot like it. And one of the first movies that popped into my head after I watched A Dark Song was Session 9. It's a little bit of a different animal, but it's not, in that it's all contained in this one building for the most part, and it's driven by the characters. But the fear doesn't come from jump scares. It doesn't come from them even fighting each other, which they spend a lot of the movie doing. The scares come from the palpable atmosphere that the dread that the movie goes as they get closer and closer, and you can feel the movie's leading to something, that these rituals are going to get somewhere. At first you kind of spend the movie wanting to see this magic happen, and the closer the magic comes to fruition, the less you maybe want to see what they're going to show you. And I don't know, it handled me. I like a movie that I feel manipulated and that I could not predict. And that's the other great compliment I will give this movie. At any given moment, I honestly did not know what the next scene was going to be. And that's such a rare experience for a horror fan. Yes, I like it. I mean, maybe next time if I'm on again, I'll do something more straightforward, monsters eating people, because I know I've maybe overselling.
Not if, when.
But I may be overselling these atmospheric horror movies. But those are the ones that have been my jam lately. That have, the ones that you think about for days afterwards, as opposed to the ones where you say, oh man, when that fence post went through that guy's face, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
There's room for those movies, but this is not that movie. It respects its audience, it takes horror seriously, and not enough movies do it. So that's why I wanted to talk about A Dark Song. Plus I wanted to hear what you guys thought of A Dark Song, because I know not everybody responds to it, much like Session 9. If you oversell Session 9 to somebody, they think it's like, I don't know, The Shining or something like this.
Because it gets compared to The Shining in a lot of ways,
Again, because of the atmosphere and the big haunted house thing. But this is not a haunted house story. This is a haunted people story.
Yeah.
And this rituals that they're trying to do involve a lot of physical stress and a lot of trust between these two characters.
A lot of emotional stress as well.
Yeah. And they are constantly barking off of each other. And in my podcast, I often talk how I get frustrated by movies where I don't have any likable characters. I think there's reasons to dislike both the characters. There's reasons to hate the male character, really, frankly. But the deeper you get into the movie and the more you get to know the characters, the more their behavior, though maybe not justified, actually starts to make sense. And, you know, I may not like all of the characters or back all of their decisions, but I'm never not with the movie.
I agree. Yeah, and it's so we're centered around like that's why it made sense to me upon rewatching, because I had seen this before, and upon rewatch I was like, oh yeah, I can see how this is a Larry movie because it's a single location, 2 people, and a strong script, and that's exactly what it is. That's the bread and butter of this movie, is that it's very, like, for the first hour of the movie you could borderline say it's not a horror movie, which is fine. Like, to me, I will say it's a horror movie, but I can understand people being like, oh, there's nothing, like, what am I here for?
Psychological drama, I guess.
Yeah, but it's one of those ones where you have to stay with it. You have to be invested in it to get the payoff. And I think that the payoff is like, I think this is one of the most memorable payoffs in fucking years. And we'll get to that because we're going to do, this is briefly spoiler free,
right,
in case anyone.
We'll get to the end of it, but I will say, yeah, like, it's way deep into the movie when the shit hits the fan, or when the movie actually, the production level goes up.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, you could think this is a micro-budget movie for the first half.
Totally.
It's all candles and water and just these 2 actors.
One location.
Yeah, but by the time we get to the third act, no, this is a full-bore horror movie. Shit's going down. Like, they do deliver.
It's comparable to Ty West's House of the Devil, but not as slow. Yeah, I would even say that, like, House of the Devil is a harder movie to watch than A Dark Song.
Right.
And I really love that movie.
But if you can get into a Ty West movie, then
you can
definitely
you'll
get
be into this. Yeah,
I would say this has more grip, at least in the first act, for me than most Ty West
100%, because there's actual, like, depth to the conversations, and it's not just a girl dancing around a house. I love The House of the Devil, but like, don't make it. I'm not meaning to make it seem like I don't love that movie, but no, it's an accessible version of that in some ways. Like, I can see a lot of, like, I would recommend this movie to my sister. I think she would enjoy it. But after rewatching, I was just like, fuck, I can't believe I told my sister to watch this, because there's so many uncomfortable scenes where I'm like, ugh.
It's a weird one in that, like, a lot of hardcore horror fans, I can see maybe like wanting more from it, being disappointed, but I can also see people who aren't horror fans really connecting to it. Yeah. There's a really deep sort of spiritual angle to the movie, and I mean, we're not going into spoilers yet, but it doesn't lead you to the place that you're expecting at all.
If you say that you're expecting what is coming, you are so full of shit.
Yeah, I would.
There's no fucking way that you can see it going in this direction. Yeah. Yes, it's like one of those movies that has a twist within a twist within a twist, but like the final payoff, it's like, if you say you called that, fuck right off.
Yeah, but the movie is basically waiting for the magic to work, and the payoff of the movie is that the magic works.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those ones though, like, before we get onto you, Buzi, I just want to set the stage here a little bit. So we got the main character, her name is Sophia, and there's Sophia and Joseph, and she seeks out Joseph because she wants to perform this ritual. She knows that she finds him through, like, a connection leads her to another connection, leads her to another connection. It's not like she went on Craigslist and was like, I need an occultist.
Right.
No, she's super driven in what she's looking for, and she's not looking for, like, a hack.
And in a lot of movies, it could make it the easy thing to do would be like, yeah, find this guy on Craigslist, or I heard about this guy. But no, they actually take the time to make it seem like she searched
accessible.
for him. Yeah, she searched for him, and then she finally found him. And he explains to her that what she wants is very dangerous, but she needs to be completely honest with him. She needs to be willing to do everything that he says. She basically agrees that he says that he can get what she wants if she listens to everything he says, if she does everything that he says, and she follows all of his rules, and she's always honest with him. And that's where the beginning of the movie takes you. And that's where you don't know exactly what it is that she's working towards, but you know that there's some kind of, you can just tell that there's something that she's not telling him. Yeah. And then that leads to
Well, Joseph is a very difficult character, and the actor, was it Steve Oram? Steve Oram.
He's great.
Yeah, he was in another British comedy, Sightseers, right? And
he was very good in that as well.
He's hilarious and dark in that movie, but he's so difficult in this movie. Like if
he's very off-putting.
If those two characters existed in the real world, I would much rather have a beer with the guy from Sightseers than I would for this guy, and this guy wouldn't kill me.
Yeah.
I think he gives a really good performance, and I think it's one of those types of performance that pays off once you've seen the movie and you go back to it, because I felt the first time I was watching the movie, why is this guy such a prick?
I agree.
Why is this guy such a prick?
Insufferable the entire time.
And the thing is that as a psychic person or whatever, part of the deal is knowing how to read people. I remember taking acting classes, and they would tell you, use your power of acting for good, because you do a lot of, studying of
so don't
body
summon the devil.
No, body language, right? You can use body language with your character to express something, but you have to learn about body language. So then you can sort of tell when someone's being false with you just by the way they're holding their body, blah, blah, blah. The payoff doesn't come right away with this character. When you watch it again and you understand he knows how to read people, he's a psychic person, and he knows that Sophia is lying to him about something. And this is serious to him. Like, if this goes off the rails, it can go seriously off the rails. There's life and death at stakes, real demons, real angels, as he says. And until he knows what she's lying to him about, their whole thing is in jeopardy. Mm-hmm. And he is 100% right that she's lying to him. Now, the things that he does to her and the way he goes about getting the truth from her is fucking awful. And his willingness to make her cook and clean for him, that's just him being a dick. So, you'll do whatever I say, so I'm not going to cook and clean. Part of the agreement is you're doing whatever I say. That's just petty bullshit. But when it comes to the magic, to the black magic, to the reason that they're in the house, he takes it dead fucking seriously. And that stuff is less about him being a prick and more about him being like, he needs this to work almost as much as she does. And until she's playing ball properly,
he's putting himself in danger just as much as he's putting her. But that's the thing is, like, this movie could go in one of two directions. It's all real, and like it's legit, he knows what he's doing, or it's just a hoax and this guy's a fucking prick.
Right.
And I think that's what you really latch onto as a viewer watching this movie, is that you have to go along with that, being like, seems so extreme and so unnecessary, and then you find out like, no, this needs to happen. And then there's sometimes where it's like, oh wow, what a garbage human. There's one specific scene.
Should we talk about it?
Let's first I'm gonna let Buzi take it away, like, so I want to hear more about what Buzi thought about this movie, and I know you rewatched it. Can you let's catch up with Buzi how you're feeling about A Dark Song?
Like if I liked it or not, or do we just want to
overall?
Go over? Okay. Like I really enjoyed this film. I found a new appreciation watching it the second time. I feel like the first time I did enjoy it, but I didn't like rave about it. And this time after watching it and thinking about how I experienced it the first time, I got so much more enjoyment out of it, because definitely the first time, and I think it is for most people, it's hard for me to I guess say what I want to say without spoiling things for people, so I don't know.
Do you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, okay. That's kind of...
Well, like, before we do that, let's just say, okay, we're going to check out, like, this is where spoilers are coming in. Obviously, we got to stop doing the spoiler thing, because if we're going to cover a movie, let's just start covering the movie, but this is your time to check out. The thing is, lots of times, like, with Rawhead Rex and all those kinds of things, Sleepwalkers, who gives a fuck? But this is a movie that, like, it does, if you can watch it without knowing what's going to happen,
you're so doing much more of a payoff.
Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by listening to this and finding out what happens and not experience it on your own, because closing thoughts on spoiler-free stuff is, this is a movie that doesn't come around all the time. I'm not saying this is a masterpiece or it's a perfect movie or like this is going to be the best horror movie you see this year.
It is something special.
It is something special. It's something different, and it's something that you should watch if you're a horror fan.
Honestly, it's the movie, kind of the vibe of the movie that I was attempting to make with Book of Trespasses. Not to make it all about me, but I mean, I think this movie does it way better, but I mean, it casts a spell, and it sort of... the story kind of pulls you in, and you kind of hopefully are happy with each revelation as it comes. And it's an ambitious type of movie because it doesn't rely on jump scares. It doesn't rely on the standard practices of a horror movie. But I do think it is 100% a horror movie.
Yeah. I agree completely. Yeah. But, all right. Well, we are getting into spoilers now. So let's start In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
I
spoilers.
feel like you could just be like, it's spoiler time.
I know, but I just
know.
try and give people time.
So what I was going to say that I wanted to say without spoiling it, but now that I can, is the first time I watched this movie, it could have gone two ways for me in terms of what this movie's content was, and I would have been okay with either version of that movie. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I felt for a while there and I know that the movie's trying to pitch you that idea is he just fucking around with her, and then I got to a certain point where I was going, is he gonna kill her? Just, is this some sort of elaborate scheme for him to get all this money from
just
her?
a lonely guy.
Yeah, and just and play her for so long that eventually when you have that payoff of maybe he does kill her or he tries to and she escapes, I feel like that could have been its own movie there, and some of that stuff obviously doesn't happen, so. And some of it does, which is the interesting part, is that it could have not had any of the ending sequences, and I still would have been like, this is such an insane movie that I really enjoy it. I felt
the
like
ending's so powerful, though.
Yeah, it is, but I'm just saying is that it works on so many levels where it could have been two completely different movies, and I would have been okay with it either way. Yeah. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. I mean, I definitely felt that the first way.
Open to interpretation until the third act.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where that's the.
I love that it goes so fucking heavy into the direction that it, like, I love that there's no ambiguity left, like, where it's like
by the end, but through the first part of that, I felt like it could have been a completely different movie, and that's what I was kind of getting at, as I would have, if you would have fed me more of a straightforward one where none of this is real and he's just, it
could have still been an entertaining movie.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that, like, but I yeah, sorry.
No, I think the important telling scene, and it's a tough scene, is when he basically sexually humiliates the Sophie character.
Well, he uses her.
He tells her to undress, and she obediently does, because he's been very unequivocal. You do what I told. And he told her that she needs to participate in ritualistic there could be
sex.
some sexual magic. That was on the table. And he basically jerks off in front of her and then tells her, oh, by the way, that had nothing to do with the ritual.
It's just been a long year.
Yo, he's just like, I'm a man. I need to, and he tells her to put makeup on and shit. That scene is so
He needed sweet relief.
And that is absolutely horrible. But if he was full of shit, and if she was willing to do anything he said, he could have done literally anything he wanted to her. He could have raped her. He could have done anything. But she had to stay pure, because that was one of the rules of the ritual. He didn't evidently need to stay pure, but she did.
No, I love how straight-faced everything is.
Now, I'm not defending his behavior, obviously, in that scene, but that scene does tell me, A, he's a unrepentant piece of shit, and B, the magic is real to him. Mm-hmm. He's not playing a game.
Yeah. That's a good point. I never thought of that.
It's such a tough scene. You think of, like, from both of them, from an acting perspective, it's tough on her because she's exposing herself, and like tough on him because he's just playing such a vile character. I found a weird symmetry. I don't want to spoil peripheral movies, but I'd recently reviewed Ex Machina for my movie,
okay,
and I always felt like Oscar Isaac was such a prick in that movie. And it wasn't until the second time I watched the movie
realized there's a reason
that I understood where it was coming from. Same thing with this one. Like, it was almost a problem for me what a prick this character was the first time I watched the movie. He's still kind of a villain when you watch it the second time, but it doesn't feel unmotivated.
It's more understandable. Yeah. And that's what I really enjoy about this movie is you probably need to watch it twice to fully get enjoyment out of it.
I loved it the first time, but
more out of it.
I do think, I got the same as you guys did. Like, knowing that his motivations were, not to say pure, but like he knew what he was doing was what makes him more tolerable upon rewatch. But because I remember that was one of the things, is like, it's so hard to watch him just mistreat her the entire movie. Yeah. But it's just so powerful.
He's a pathetic character, but in the end of the day, he does know his shit, and he is the real deal. And he knows nobody will take him seriously, but he knows that he's the real deal. And that's been his whole life. Like, it's revealed in the movie that he has a wish he wants granted as well. He calls it invisibility. It's not that he's literally invisible, but I think it just means that the outside world would not acknowledge him. He craves this isolation, and he creates it by being a dick to everybody, right? Again, it more comes out the more you get to know him. But initially, it's just like, you son of a bitch. But it also helps to convince us as to why Sophie is so committed. If she's willing to put up with this guy, if she's willing to pay all of that money to rent this mansion that's facing the right direction, and to board herself and seal herself in this house with this guy possibly for months. Like, she is 100% committed, and every day that she puts up with this guy shows you just how committed she is. Her fallacy is her unwillingness to, for whatever reason, just be honest with him
and forgive.
That's the big win of the movie. Is like, we think she wants vengeance, and she thinks she wants vengeance, but she asks for something else.
You see him putting her through all of these horrible things, and then he asks something like, you need to forgive all, and like she's like, I can do anything but that. That's the one thing I can't do. She's like, and then she literally drinks his blood. So it's like that in a place of just forgiving someone. Yeah. So that kind of shows you where you definitely know, okay, something
runs deep, that you have that sort of commitment. Yeah. What I also like about it is you see a lot of movies that deal with that kind of that summoning spirits and stuff.
Right.
And usually it's done in a fairly quick manner, whether the summoning rituals are very...
It seems easy.
It seems way too easy, like someone's just dicking around with a Ouija board. How many fucking times have we seen that in a movie? Or they find some sort of heirloom and open it, like the Dybbuk box.
Pyoak does it too.
This takes weeks.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it, is that it's so serious even in that aspect that it requires all of this stuff to make such a monumental thing happen. And that kind of adds, especially to the ending, is you realize that, because she went through all these things to get that result, there's so many grandiose things she has to do to get this grandiose ending. And that's really, it's a nice payoff. I guess in a weird way, it's a nice payoff that she went through all of that, but there is a reason why, and it wasn't super easy or linear for her to get that.
Do you guys know about the Abermelin ritual? Abermelin, have you ever heard this before?
I guess not.
Okay, so I'm very, very, very interested in occult stuff and like witchcraft and all. Like, I'm not Satanism. Like, I'm interested in it all. I would never say that I practice it or anything. It's interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so the Abermelin ritual is the I pulled this up because it'll put it in better words than I could. The text describes an elaborate ritual whose purpose is to obtain the knowledge and conversation of the magician's guardian angel. The preparations are elaborate, difficult, and long. All of the German texts describe a duration of the operation of 18 months before divine contact is known.
Yeah.
So that's what this is based off of. Like, clearly it's based off of this. And like, I think I fell down a rabbit hole upon searching about this because I'm like, I know about a ritual that talks about like contacting your guardian angel.
Right.
But I looked this up, and like basically all of if you just YouTube, you can find a dark pit of the world of goths just talking about a dark song and everything that they did wrong. It's like, of course they're not going to perform the actual fucking 18-month ritual, but they try.
If you're not in that corner of study, it is completely credible, and it's completely credible mainly with chalk and candles.
Yeah.
And I like even when it starts going weird, when she starts hearing weird moans in the floor and the foundation of the house, and
objects appearing in rooms.
Things are being moved, but he's like, we're starting to be noticed. And to him, that's not a big deal, but that's the first time she's palpably, I know this is.
She's like,
real.
It's working.
This is something is happening. Something is coming. And the movie's so good at making that promise that something will come, and I think it does pay off so completely. I also think there's an interesting scene where she wakes up in the middle of the night and has a conversation with her dead son through a door.
Yeah.
And she knows that it's not her dead son, and her dead son, or whatever it is on the other side of the door, knows that she knows, but they still play this game with each other.
Oh my god, that scene is so fucked. I love that scene. Like where he's saying like, I'm not your son, like, and it's in his voice. I'm like,
but still using the kid's voice.
It's so creepy.
It is very, very chilling, and it's like, even just describing it, it's chilling. And you think of her like, she cannot leave that house. She couldn't run screaming from the house if she wanted to.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie too, one that stands out is when she kind of isn't buying in to what's going on, so she's threatening to leave, and he's actually trying to stop her with everything in him. He's like, no, you can't fucking leave. Like, he's freaking out. And I think that this is a prime example of one of those movies that like, it works because of its actors.
Yes.
And like, the actors sell it so fucking well. And like there's another movie like this that me and Buzi have both seen, The Other Side of the Door, which have you seen that as well?
I wasn't as big on that one.
Johannes Roberts, like director of Strangers Pray at Night, 47 Meters Down.
Yeah, Andre Alja produced it.
Yeah, Alexander. Yeah, and that's one where I'm like, okay, I get everyone hating this, but I think I went into it with such low expectations. I was like, there was a couple really creepy, genuine moments of creepiness in that movie.
I'd give it another day in court.
I don't think that it's great. This is a far superior movie that deals with a very similar thing, but like it just shows like the Other Side of the Door wants to show you all of the flashy stuff that's going to jump into it's going to jump in your face and it's going to crawl towards you. And then A Dark Song, the most chilling thing about it is that it's so subtle, and there isn't one single jump scare in this movie. And I'm not opposed to jump scares. I love the Insidious movies, but I also I appreciate those don't scare me as an adult. Frankly, I sound like a dickhead, but nothing really scares me as an adult.
There is no like boo jump scares, but I think
this movie creeps me out.
It's genuinely terrifying for the last culmination when she's, spoilers, by herself in the house.
Yeah, as soon as people start showing up,
and all of a sudden you start seeing figures in the shadows. And when you first see them, you almost question, did I see that? And then you're like, no, I definitely fucking saw that. And
then the scene of all of them in the background, it's so good. I got chills.
And like, why did they grab hold of her and take a finger from her? Like they take a piece of her, like a fee for transgressing into their territory.
Totally, that's totally what it is.
It reminded me. It's weird because it seems like you and I talked about the Sentinel once before.
Yeah, I love the Sentinel.
But there's that sequence in the Sentinel where
the cat birthday.
Yeah, where all of a sudden she starts seeing all this crazy shit in the hotel, and it's like it's so outside of what you're expecting from the rest of the movie that it's kind of jarring. Again, I have no idea when she's walking down this dark hallway what she's going to see, but you fucking know she's going to see something.
At that point you kind of realize that, the door is open, that she, they achieved what they wanted to, and now you kind of have to experience, because she's lost her guide, basically, for this.
No one's telling her this is why this is happening. Yeah, this is what you need to do. Mm-hmm. She's just experiencing it.
And I like that a lot of the scarier scenes, I will say that there are some scenes that are maybe not particularly scary but more disturbing. One of my favorite scenes is just her talking to her son who's on the other side of the door, or what she thinks is, and the dog's there, and he's like, open the door, the dog's here, and just gets more and more panicked, and you can hear the dog getting closer. That was one of my favorite scenes of that whole movie, and she's not doing anything, she's just speaking to a door.
No, I know, that's what makes it so fucking good. Just the dialogue of this movie.
And they could have done something like a cheaper scare. You've seen this in other movies where the same sort of thing where a mother or father contacts their child that's passed on, and as soon as anything that resembles their child comes around, they're immediately embracing.
They can't help it. They're just
exactly. But for this movie, there's never any of that fling the door open and nothing's there kind of scene where you kind of, if you saw a movie like that where they fling the door open, nothing's there, and then you're like, oh, you invited the spirit in, which a ton of movies do that sort of thing. This movie goes the opposite direction where she's a little more clever, I guess.
And they establish the rules. I mean, a lot of people who would think the first half of the movie is slow, the second time you watch it, they're really laying down groundwork. When he seals the area with salt, and he makes sure you're absolutely serious.
I love that scene too. Is that he's showing how serious he is you can't leave once I seal this circle.
We're on. Once this happens, we are fucking on. And later on, when she breaks that seal, you remember that scene, and you're terrified because of it. And again,
there's consequences immediately to that action. And I think some of the other scenes that maybe are a little more gross, but they have a purpose, like watching her labor to drink that blood, and he's just screaming at her to do it. Yeah, because he's talking about it's congealing and stuff. It's congealing. And that's the crazy part is you were seeing her drink this blood, which is gross on its own, but having him be so adamant and describing it, it kind of makes, like, I remember watching it, and I think I was eating while I was watching it. It made me feel gross, even though I know this is just a movie and whatever she's drinking is definitely not blood, but they're so convincing in that they're convinced this is real that it makes you feel like it's real.
I think the only, and this is a minor complaint, and this is a small thing, and it's just because it was the one thing in the movie I'd seen before, is a scene where he drowns her in the bathtub.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough.
I mean, it's a really well done scene between the two of them, but all of a sudden I'm thinking, I remember Constantine. I should watch Constantine again. Right? It was the one scene of the movie.
I think you're the only person who's ever said that.
Yeah. Courtney just said that the other day. Like, she's never seen it, but she's like, we should watch Constantine. I'm like, no, shut your mouth.
But, I mean, it was the one scene of the movie that I had seen before.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not comparing this movie to Constantine.
It made you recount another time you'd seen it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
like you said before, we've seen all the scenes where they have a seance or a Ouija board. This movie didn't do that. And it always
they
kind
didn't
of
take the lazy way in any of that, because this movie could have been completely different if they would have sped through the process. But they took so long so that your payoff is worth it so much more than, even like those Conjuring movies or something like that. I hate picking on The Conjuring now because I do it so often, but they would have done that within the first 10 minutes. Is you establish there's this family or whatever, and they immediately contact something.
Conjuring has their place, but they don't respect the audience in the same way that this movie
I don't
does.
think that they're trying to do what this is doing, though.
No.
Like,
They're playing on a
subtlety
different
is not
level.
their hand.
no,
that
they're trying to make people have fun while they're watching this, and this is anything but a fun movie. This is a depressing, fucking bleak, dark movie.
And yet that ending.
Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Okay, sorry. Before we go into that, is this? Mitch is totally right. This isn't a movie that you put on with a couple of friends. Like, hey man, you haven't seen The Dark Side? It's like you should be assigned The Dark Side.
This is a Sunday morning watch.
Yeah, take this home and watch it by yourself, or with someone who respects what they're watching as well, and won't be like, "Why is this taking so long?" I feel like you should probably watch this movie alone.
Yeah,
drink it in. Same thing with Session 9. If your head's
100%.
on your phone, you're not
got to be a pitch black room too.
Yeah, because you'll hate it if you don't respect the atmosphere that's trying to do, and that's what makes these movies walk such a fine line. Is if you don't take them for what they are and don't let yourself be engulfed by that, you're not going to get any enjoyment of that. I can see a ton of people watching Session 9 and saying it's shit, but you didn't watch it and experience it, I guess, and that makes us sound like pretentious. You didn't experience the
but
film,
it's like there are there's certain movies that you can. I could sit on my phone and watch Maximum Overdrive and be just fine.
And I'm sometimes in a mood to watch a movie that will do all of the work for me, and that's fine. If that's where you're at, that's great. I'll watch Friday the 13th Part 4 and not think about anything. Excuse me, not have to think about anything, but.
Yeah, because you're in the passenger seat for that whole thing.
Then it's going to do all of the work for you, and that's fine. But this movie's not about that. And I think because they ask you to meet it halfway, and because they ask you to anticipate it and think about it, it haunts you. It sticks with you.
I agree. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Yep.
Okay. So the finale, she escapes these creatures.
Well, before that is her guide dies. And he's okay with it. He's perfectly fine. He doesn't curse her out for it. He's kind of like, this is,
This is a price that you pay for being an asshole your entire life. Something like this is probably...
And he kind of got what he wanted, though.
Let's also point out that one of my favorite things about that, too, is that, like, and especially if you look on YouTube, and of course I don't want all these people cursing me, but all these YouTube people who are, like, super goths who are super into all the occult stuff. They all got.
Are you worried about offending super goths?
No, but they all got the face piercings. They all got the fucking like black mascara. They look like they love mayhem, and like they just listen to only black metal, and they take this stuff very seriously. But what I love about it is that Joseph is wearing. He looks like a Limp Bizkit fan.
He looks more like a hipster.
He's wearing a bucket hat and like a blue jumpsuit, like an Adidas jumpsuit. Like, I'm just like, I love that he does not look like someone who practices black magic, and that's the best part about it. I love that.
Okay, so we're at the ending here. She's lost Joseph, and now shit's really going insane.
Well, as the Abermelin ritual that I spoke about before tells, is that it connects you with your guardian angel, and this is where she walks into a room, and there's a literal fucking.
Well, she sees light in this hallway, so she obviously you go towards that because
she
was
comes
not
out
there
of the
before.
darkness too. She has to go through hell before she sees this guy, and like they say, it costs her an appendage, and she sees a lot of fucked up shit. But this light she is guiding to, very sort of classic, like after death type of imagery, right? She is in the other world. But I love this image of this guardian angel creature just fucking fills the whole room. He's huge.
Yeah.
And he's got this huge sword, and there's something like just inherently intimidating just of his size.
Well, the first time you see him, you kind of go, yeah, oh, this guy's kind of large. And then when they show a full, like a wider shot, and it's her and him at a side angle, you realize the true spectrum. This thing isn't real at all in terms, because your brain's still trying to go like, this is something in the feasible world, but obviously this is something that's not.
So she's gone through all of this. She's killed a man, however inadvertently.
Yeah.
She's lost a finger. She's literally fought her way through hell. And
She's died for a little while.
She finally gets to ask her question. And as she'd been lying in the past, it was like she wanted to talk to her son again. That wasn't it. She wanted revenge for the people who killed these kids. But after going through everything she's gone through and finally being confronted with this absolutely amazing image, she asks to learn forgiveness. And it's not at all what you're expecting, but it's such a massive emotional payoff for the movie and the character. All of a sudden, I like the Sophie character. All of a sudden, Sophie has redeemed herself. All of a sudden, Sophie has grown in a way that she wouldn't if it was the movie you kind of expected. Usually, you make a deal with the devil, it doesn't play out well. I was honestly expecting both of them to end this movie dead. You don't play with these powers and expect to get what you want. That's where I was coming from. Not only did the spell work, but she made the right wish at the end. And it's such a strong way to end.
It's a good hero's quest payoff.
Yeah, and it's an emotional journey. It's not physical. It's not the dead end of death. It's not like she was a tragic trajectory. She will be able to live now. She won't be dedicated to her grief.
So did you guys? So you liked the ending then?
I did very much.
Yeah. Did you? How did you respond to the guardian angel?
I can remember the first time I watched it going, this is fucking insane. But yeah, upon second watch, which I think everyone should watch this twice if you're going to go into it, is it does kind of seem right.
A lot, yeah.
And it because I think it would have been less impactful if she got to that point and
she just died.
No, not even just died. Even if it went.
Or she saw her son, or
she saw her son, or she got death upon the person who killed her son. I feel like it wouldn't impact as much as that she's just has to get over that grief instead of holding this forever grudge.
And it's not what you're expecting to
No,
happen.
no. 100%.
There is a 0% chance that you could ever say that you say, like, oh, she's going to walk in the room and there's going to be a giant guardian angel.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
And it probably sounds, if you haven't seen the movie, and shame on you for listening to the spoilers if you haven't, but it probably sounds weird describing it.
Man, people hate it.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing in a good way.
Yeah.
If you were to write it down, or someone was to tell you about it before seeing it, you'd say, no, this is a terrible payoff. But when you watch it get put together in the amalgamation of everything, it's what it needed.
A lot of people fucking hate it. Like, a lot of people are really into the movie and then they hate the ending. And I think that is insane. I think it's such a special ending. I think it's such a cool original.
They went a route that you would not expect.
Yeah.
I'm not a religious person. I don't get suckered into these sort of emotional archetypes of, the devil and angel imagery. I mean, I take it as part of the construct of these supernatural movies. The cross represents good and the devils are obviously
the upside down cross, yeah.
But there's something intimidating about the image, too. There's something vaguely scary about that angel, and I love that. I love that. Like,
because you know that thing kills those motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's a powerful entity, and it's got bigger fish to fry to deal with.
Yeah, it doesn't want to reason with the person.
So, come correct. And the fact that it smiles when she makes her request. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
And it is that thing where you think about is that, this entity has been watching over them because that's your guardian angel, right? And it is kind of a payoff for, I guess, even the angel, if you look at it from his perspective, is you picked the right thing.
Yeah. And again, she could have picked the other thing and she just sort of stayed on her dark path, but
yeah.
And then even going on from that is after that she takes, was it Joseph's, right?
Yeah.
Takes Joseph's body, wraps him up, puts him in the water and lets him float away.
Yeah.
And because it kind of ended up is he got what he wanted.
He wanted
as well.
to be invisible to the world, and now he's invisible to the world.
Yeah. Literally.
And it is kind of weird watching that. Is it's kind of oddly bittersweet watching her, because you can just tell that her character shifts is that she's kind of at peace with everything, and even her, wading out in this water and letting the body drift away. There's almost a weird. There's no
She says
sorrow.
thank you.
Yeah,
she got more than what she asked for.
Yeah, but there's no sorrow in how she's doing it. She's she's at peace, and I guess he's at peace as well. I guess.
Yeah, and he freshly nutted. So.
That's the takeaway.
Add a little levity to the situation.
All right. Well, yeah, I think this is a great movie, and I think it's something that people need to check out if they haven't. And if you have, and you for some reason maybe weren't on board, I'd say give it another look.
I think this is the first time we've had a really serious discussion
in
about
like
a main
20
feature
or
in
30
a while.
episodes.
Yeah, where there wasn't a bunch
Okay.
of
Well, again,
jokes
next time I'll do something like Dead Alive or something that's
Yeah.
got no meat to it at all.
Yeah.
That's true, but it was kind of refreshing to have a serious conversation about a movie that's very serious.
Yeah.
And again, any horror movie that gets you talking about it like this, the conversation it will engender, and again, just the fact that it's not what you expect at all. I
That's the best part.
Yeah, I can't endorse it enough.
Yeah. Well, 3 big thumbs up from the Terror Table here.
A double viewing recommendation.
Yeah. It will it will reward second viewings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Before we take off here, just because I haven't done this in a while, because we haven't had a situation that calls for it.
I just want to announce 2 more things.
Sure.
That's okay. Sorry. So, reminder, next week, Kyle Zervinsky is going to be back on. We're going to be talking about Perfect Blue. So, make sure you check that out. Once again, that is Perfect Blue. Last but definitely not least, I will be joining Larry on Rank and Review again soon. And I'm assuming you have like a backlog already. Like,
yeah, if we can get it done in the next couple of weeks, you'll be 144.
Okay, so it'll be a little while till it comes out, but
a couple months.
But can I announce what we're doing?
Sure.
Okay, I am buckling down this weekend. Larry gave me a bunch of options, and one of the options, and if you've been listening to Terror Table for a long time, you know that I love my witches. I love my witches. And Larry has a full witch episode, and there's going to be 6 witch movies. So we're going to be talking about Dario Argento's Suspiria.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about Season of the Witch, starring Nicolas Cage.
Of course.
The Woods. Who directed The Woods?
Lucky McGee.
Lucky McGee.
If
So like
anybody
May.
likes
May, yeah. So
same
the
director.
Yeah, The Woods. What else do we got there?
The Rob Zombie one.
Rob Zombie, Lords of Salem, and The Craft. And the
Craft.
reason I've been holding off on this, and like I'll tell you right now on air, is like because we were talking about doing this for months, and I'm like, I just really want to wait to watch The Craft again for when I can get the Scream Factory copy, and it just came out and it arrives tomorrow. So I'm getting the Scream Factory copy of The Craft tomorrow, and Courtney and I are going to buckle down and watch a whole bunch of witch movies this weekend. I will finish these movies this weekend.
Nice. Well, let me know. I will. I'm looking forward to it. My guess is you'll be 144. I'm gonna make it happen.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for being here, Larry. I'm gonna let Buzi take it away.
Not to, I guess on a different note, not to slide in your DMs, but I would love to come back if you want me back.
I want you back.
No,
I
fuck
want you
'em.
so bad.
Only me.
Oh, I want you bad.
Because I had a ton of fun last time talking about werewolves.
Yes, indeed.
And it's kind of nice that you let us choose things that are up our alley so we can be a little more enthusiastic about it. You know, sometimes episodes that we do on this show, we're not always the most enthused about what we're doing. So it always is nice that you give us that option.
Well, we don't dig as deep in R&R with the reviews, but we have the fun of the rank.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and it's such a like basic idea, but it's awesome. It's the best because and that's even I was saying.
Everyone loves lists.
What I was saying, yeah, everyone loves lists, and I was saying before, I'm like, something needs to be the best, and I love the challenge of being like, hey, but yes, you love Scorsese, but which is the best of these, and you having to give one the worst, and you're so good at picking ones where 3 that are like real good, and 3 that are wild cards. That's
I think the best part is they're so all over the place. Even talking about when we did the werewolf episode.
This fucking insane person put American Werewolf in Paris ahead of what was the. There was no, you put Cursed high up. There was one that you put at number 6. Did you guys do no, not?
We did Paris. We did Bad Moon. We did Ginger Snaps 2. I'm trying to remember
the Underworld one.
Underworld, yeah.
Rise of the Lycans.
Right. Yeah,
we're missing 2.
Cursed was on there.
Bad Moon.
I know. I said Bad Moon.
Did we say Bad Moon? Shit.
Yep. Anyway,
Okay.
it's totally fun doing stuff like that where
The Wolfman.
Wolfman, yeah, right.
Benicio
that's-
Wolfman, yeah.
I love that movie.
I just like that they're so all over the board. Is that, you know, you have two movies that I really enjoyed that are a little more dark, like Bad Moon and Ginger Snaps. Then you had something like Underworld, you know, and Cursed. I like that they're not all the same. Is that you put so many different things, and that's kind of what makes it special, you know, with you doing rank and review. And with that being said, what I was going back to my first point is, because we haven't done this in a while, we haven't had a guest like that.
Don't you fucking dare. Don't you fucking dare.
I'm not going to ask him to be circumcised.
Yeah, you're going to ask him what song he wants.
Yes, what song would you like to be played out to?
Don't you fucking
I got like 15 seconds before copyright attacks me.
Let's say some Prison Sex by Tool.
Oh, I
Sure.
thought it was going to be fucking Weezer. Like, can we
I
get...
would not do that to you, but I do stand by my thing that you guys have way too much hate for Weezer.
Beverly Hills.
No, that's only on his side. And I'm glad that you picked something I can actually make something out of, because I think, who is it who had Lee had like the weirdest...
The Pinocchio song,
yeah,
wasn't it?
and it was terrifying. Like, I get
It's like,
that
of all songs that you think of, this is the one that comes to mind.
it's terrifying.
Tool was my angry young man music when I was a kid, and apparently they have a new album coming out.
Yeah, Jeff will bully you now.
It just makes me smile that Tool's still out there, because they were
they've
my
been
angry young man.
Yeah, they've been talking about putting this album out for
like 20
centuries. Yeah.
No, they made you wait too long now.
You think Jeff hates Weezer?
Oh, he hates the Tool.
Tool.
So, other than
I'm glad to spread the hate.
Yeah.
other than rank and review, anything else you want to plug?
Keep
Socials
your-
or anything?
Keep
or-
your ears to the ground for Book of Trespasses.
And obviously, when you find out, we find out, and we'll talk
Absolutely.
about it on here.
As soon as we find a home for it, I'm going to try and get it out there. And I would like to have a copy of it to put on my wall. As much as I would like other people to have a copy of it. In a way, that's sort of the thing that will make it real to me when I slide that Blu-ray onto my shelf.
So there's a Facebook page for that,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Book of Trespasses, and there's the regular site, Book of Trespasses, for Book of Trespasses, and rankandreview.ca for the podcast, because I'm Canadian. And of course, I've got my page on Facebook and on Twitter and all of that. And rankandreview@gmail.com if you want to say hello. And thank you guys for having me at the Terror Table.
No problem.
I try to plug you every show. Every now and then I forget, but I've been throwing plugs to the Terror Table. So
We don't expect that.
Yeah,
You
don't
did it
expect-
once. That's more than enough for us.
We're just happy to be back. But yeah, thanks, Larry. Thanks so much for being here. And we will see you guys next week on the Terror Table.